Hello, we're back. Welcome
Hello.
back to the Mover and Gonky and Wombat show. The introductions are as follows. Gonky, wait, nope, that's the old one. It's now high speed internet Gonky.
Super high speed. Don't jinx
we
it.
bring back Wombat with the two books, Vengeance Flight and Treason Flight, and he's a certified Mustang driver. Please buy his book.
They need to be swapped
Because you
order.
should. Oh my God. Okay.
I'm just saying.
Attention
to detail. I know you didn't make it. I'm just saying.
For sure. Listen to me. For sure, the appearance of DoD visual information does not imply or constitute DoD endorsement. Views presented are our own or the guests and do not represent that of the DoD because we're going to talk about aliens, and I'm pretty sure somebody's going to be mad. So
I'm in the mood to stir up some stuff tonight.
Yeah,
Can we do that?
let's just. So that's the welcome. We've got Douglas on the mic in the control room as our producer Doug. Hello, Douglas.
I prefer Chief Trunk Monkey.
That goes to what we were talking about prior to coming on.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway,
all right, that's it for now.
Back to what we're going to talk about. Do you have anything else before we begin, Gonky, about the UAPs?
Are you? Yeah, just do it.
I've got it queued up, man. We're ready to go.
Is very interesting.
The aliens are among us. I've got this broken up into clips. This may take a while, but if you haven't seen this, it's very fascinating. And let's play.
Way to have this conversation, which really to the heart of it is about national security and key to the subcommittee's core purpose. This is the subcommittee on national security of the Oversight Committee. Now, our witnesses will testify today that UAPs have posed a serious safety threat.
My name is Ryan Fobbs Graves, and I'm a former F-18 pilot with a decade of service in the U.S. Navy, including 2 deployments in Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Inherent Resolve. I have experienced advanced UAP firsthand, and I'm here to voice the concerns of more than 30 commercial aircrew and military veterans who have confided their similar encounters with me. In 2014, I was an F-18 Foxtrot pilot in the Navy Fighter Attack Squadron 11, the Red Rippers.
I see you making a face, Gonky. Have you ever called yourself an F-18 Foxtrot pilot?
Well, no, because he really wasn't one.
Forever,
oh, is he not a pilot?
Hey, man. No, he was a pilot. I don't know, but he was a.
Is he a Wizzo? Oh.
Ooh, I see what you're saying.
Oh, I don't know. I have no
Does
idea
anybody ever say just Foxtrot? What about the other? Isn't it EF and then A through D?
Yes.
Yeah, usually just say F-18. Did he say? He said pilot. He said pilot. He didn't say
he
aircrew.
said pilot.
Yeah, then he's a pilot.
He's already going to jail otherwise.
Mover, you
jail.
Yeah, you can listen to him, Mover. He's a pilot.
Okay.
And I was stationed at NAS Oceana in Virginia Beach. After upgrades were made to our jet's radar systems, we began detecting unknown objects operating in our airspace.
That sounds like just bad radars. You make an upgrade and suddenly your things are going wrong. I don't.
Maybe it sees better.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or.
At first, we assumed they were radar errors. But soon, we began to correlate the radar tracks with multiple onboard sensors, including infrared systems, eventually through visual ID. During a training mission in Warning Area Whiskey 72, 10 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach, 2 F-18 Super Hornets were split by a UAP. The object, described as a dark gray or a black cube inside of a clear sphere, came within 50 feet of the lead aircraft and was estimated to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter. The mission commander terminated the flight immediately and returned base. Our squadron submitted a safety report, but there was no official acknowledgement of the incident and no further mechanism to report the sightings. Soon, these encounters became so frequent that aircrew would discuss the risk of UAP as part of their regular pre-flight briefs.
Okay, hold on a second. In 2014, we were at 204. Did we ever brief UAPs?
No, I don't think the UAPs were in the Houdat.
Not with your radar, they weren't.
No, not with the
We have no idea.
APG-65. Picture clean.
Yeah.
Well, Wombat, you made a face.
Maltese cross.
Yeah, you made a face there. So, I mean, we're already into
Now,
this.
hold
I'm
on.
not discrediting.
Wombat's the only. Well, no, you did a couple times, but Wombat, you're the only one that's flown off of Virginia, that airspace, Virginia Beach, right?
Yeah.
Probably just a year. When's the last time you flew out there?
I mean, that was 2014 he's talking about.
Yeah.
So I was out there before that. I was 2010. So
did you ever see any spheres with? No.
No. Sorry, did not.
Mover, when were you there in the rag?
2012, and then we went back in 2013 was when we did the deck cert. So
Did you fly out there?
I flew
No
non for the
Spears?
deck cert. I flew around, but there were no UAPs.
So
back
nothing,
then.
but nothing was going. Yeah, nothing was going on. They weren't talking about.
No.
Maybe ET hadn't arrived yet.
Maybe.
Could be, but Fravor, as we'll see in a minute, was predating that. So
Oh,
Well,
Yes.
I don't
On
know.
the
So
West
what I got
Coast.
out of that was,
yeah,
I don't know, man. What I got out of that was the guy being a Foxtrot pilot. He didn't, you know,
that's
most
six sets
likely-
of eyes. 6
That's,
sets.
that's a lot of eyeballs.
That's a
out
lot
there.
of
Huge
eyeballs.
jets. Yeah. Anyways, man, it's a AESA, and I know they continually upgrade it, and it's a pretty good radar.
It is.
I don't know. I mean, who knows? He said they eventually correlated from what they saw on the radar to probably clear. And then he said eyeballs. So who knows? I mean, but he's not the only one with testimony.
50 feet is. I mean, that is.
It's the size of a Super Hornet.
Collision is imminent.
It's the length of.
Well,
Yeah,
but
you-
he
you
said
thought you
the
were gonna get
object.
hit.
He thought the object was 5 to 15 foot in size.
15 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not very big.
That's like a balloon,
No.
Yeah, that's not big.
like a
I
children's
mean,
balloon.
And here's if that thing was stationary, it would be like extremely momentary. Like that thing
mine's
would just fly
Gonky's
past
audio
you if
screwed
you were
up.
doing
Is
like
this
400
just
knots.
me because I'm on
I was
here?
hoping it was not just me. Gonky's
Gonky-
audio is definitely screwed up.
What's wrong with my audio?
It's attached to the rest of your technology.
Yeah, something else is happening. It keeps skipping like the old recorders, where the thing goes off the thing. What do they call that? Help me out, Doug. What's it called?
Clipping?
No, the old.
No.
Oh, you mean like it's at the end of his tape?
Yeah, like he's. No, the
Is it the end of the
thing,
record and
the
the needle's
vinyl,
just
the vinyl
skipping?
record. Yes, the
Skipping.
record is skipping. Yes, thank you.
Gotcha.
God,
Wow.
I'm like I'm having a stroke.
Skipping?
Yes, you are. You are skipping.
But
And
only
you're
when you
probably
get
saying
really
some profound
animated and
things.
excited, which is good.
Yeah, please stay calm.
Yeah.
So
Sir,
what
please
you were
stop
making
yelling.
fun of me for last time is now you.
Maybe it is you.
While we wait, I've already see this. Nick says a theory that is being suppressed out there are that these so-called aliens are actually demonic encounters and the spaceships are just top secret aircraft. Thoughts? That is scarier than the idea that it's aliens. So I would hope it's
Correct,
aliens
yeah.
over whatever
I'm gonna
that
take
is. That sounds.
Aliens over demons. Any day.
Unless it's that what was that show on Netflix about Satan? He was kind of a cool guy, Lucifer. Unless it's Lucifer, that guy seemed like he liked to party.
I'm gonna still stick with.
There we go. Views
Yeah.
don't represent anybody, but
Yeah.
and we're not trying to break this whole thing apart. This is more of a commentary / reaction / pure sarcasm and ridicule like we always do. But one of the things, just going back to the origins of this hearing, my whole issue with this is I am now a conspiracy theorist because I question aliens. Like I never thought I was going to be in a situation where questioning the government narrative that there might be aliens actually makes me the conspiracy theorist.
It's a crazy world we live in. You just gotta hang on.
I
Crazy
can't
world.
even wrap my noggin around that. That's the Gonky. You want to try talking again?
We miss you.
How about now?
nice. And he's
No.
Now. How about now?
Now you're in a Godzilla movie where your mouth moves and the words come out about 20 seconds later.
I like the
Godzilla's
background behind you though.
You guys continue. I'm gonna troubleshoot.
I'm sure that'll
Plug
make
the
it better.
Ethernet in. Yeah.
Oh my
Anyway, Wombat, as I told you, it was probably going to just be me and you at some point. But what do you think, Wombat?
So I remember when I was a kid, my dad took me to see the movie Fire in the Sky. You remember that movie?
No, but every alien movie when I was a kid scared the hell out of me.
It scared me, but and I remember leaving the theater and my dad was like, I was like, Dad, are they real? And he's like, it's a huge universe. I mean, the chances of something out there, it'd be hard to say no. And I believe that all the way up until my current age when the government told me there was aliens. And now I don't believe them anymore because
That's a good point. I mean, that's a good point. If the
Sorry.
government's telling you,
yeah, it's not aliens.
what
If
are
the
they?
government's
What
telling
else?
me it is.
What are they trying not to tell you? Is the real question. What is the hey, look over here? Because the reality is, if this were so super squirrel secret, which we'll get into in a minute, because there's a lot to unpack when they start talking about this. But if it were, they're playing really dumb. There's a lot of incompetence going on, or it's just theater because all this stuff would be behind closed doors and they would have stopped it. Like as soon as the senator goes, hey, how about this? And they go, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't talk about that. First rule of Fight Club is we don't talk about Fight Club. Let's go to the vault. Not, hey, this guy doesn't have the clearance. We already looked into this, whatever. But
We're
we'll
on
get into
TV.
that. Donkey,
Let's keep it going. Like that's not how
let's
this
just
works.
ask stuff publicly.
Yeah.
A guy who has to refer to his News Nation interview. Like, oh, hey, remember the News Nation thing I did 2 weeks ago before I did this? That's the one you need to talk about. Gonky, are you back, dude? What's going on?
You tell me. So I've
sounds
cycled.
louder. It's louder.
I've cycled everything.
Did the old Viper reset on it. Works like a champ now.
I think it's Wombat, man. I never have any problems
Not
until
me.
he comes on.
Moving on, Mr. Grush has an opening
Sorry.
statement we will listen to.
Mr. Chairman, ranking members and congressmen, thank you. I'm happy to be here. This is an important issue, and I'm grateful for your time. My name is David Charles Grush. I was an intelligence officer for 14 years, both in the U.S. Air Force, both active duty, Air National Guard, and Reserve, at the rank of major, and most recently from 2021 to 2023, at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, at the GS-15 civilian level, which is the military
is living in the
equivalent of a
future
full-bird
here.
colonel.
Time travel.
My testimony is based on information I've been
the
given
aliens.
by individuals with a long-standing track record of
Long and
legitimacy
distinguished.
and service to this country.
Just
Many
like
of whom
Gon-
also have shared compelling evidence in the form of photography, official documentation, and classified oral testimony to myself and my
photography and oral. So he doesn't have any firsthand knowledge of anything. Just what he's been
Does
told.
any intelligence officer ever have any firsthand?
Touche. Touche.
Easy,
I'm
Wombat.
kidding.
Touche.
Yes.
Put up the disclaimer. It's fine.
Touche.
They know. I'm
Actually,
kidding.
this is the part here when we
I
get
love my
to Commander
spies.
Fravor. I'm not like Grush strikes me as a little bit more like an intelligence guy. So I think he's a little off. You're kind of like, but in general, seems like a cool dude.
Sure.
I mean,
Well-
intel guys are usually pretty cool.
As you let it play, I mean, there's a lot of questions. He's like, well, I can't answer that here. I can't answer that here. It's like, well,
That's true.
And why are
okay.
you?
Yeah.
Right.
As you know, my name is David Fravor. I'm retired.
All right, so this is Commander Fravor. And Gonky, you pointed out earlier that the Tic Tac video, the Nimitz encounters that we did he didn't take that, right? So everything he's talking about was his firsthand VID.
Yeah. So I listened to this earlier, and that's what he said. He said they came back, told the next wave, and they went out and got the FLIR footage. But
That
I've
is
listened to a
correct.
lot of. Yeah. Okay. I've listened to quite a bit of his talking about this just because it's very interesting. But yeah.
100% sure the aliens don't want Gonky to be heard tonight.
No. Which is funny
the
because Gonky wasn't the one on the Nimitz.
Gonky is actually the most pro
Were you in the
alien
Nimitz when
person in
this
this
happened?
chat. Were you really?
Yes, sir.
Oh boy, Wombat's
minute, were
about
you
to
on
go
the
to
Nimitz?
Congress.
Yeah. He was in 41. I was in the Wallbangers. There's
Yeah.
a whole book called Treason Flight on this. Go buy it.
Was
that
wait,
shameless?
does Treason Flight have aliens now?
I don't know. Go buy the book.
Hold on. There we go. trmatson.com. Go buy a book. Seriously, tell us more.
What's there to tell
Yeah.
you? It was
Start talking.
It happened, and it was off the coast of San Diego, and it was a big deal on the ship, obviously, as you can imagine. And then it got covered up very, 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 very quickly on the ship.
Okay.
Very quickly.
That
hear
hypothetically
you.
speaking, since at the time,
Hypothetically.
how about now?
Did you see aliens? That's what he wants to know. He's trying to ask you, hypothetically, did you encounter aliens or see them on that big domey radar thing you got spinning above your noggin? Go.
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Oh, come on.
Ah,
Come on.
dude, are you serious?
Is this how your book is written too? Is it just nothing but just frustration?
I think you should know because you've read it, right? Or at least
I have
told
read
me
it.
You've read it. Okay, so
There was no aliens that I read
No.
about.
no. It was a big deal on the ship. It was very much so. What?
Gonky's going to be afraid to speak this entire
I know.
episode because
I know.
he doesn't know if his thing's going to work or not.
You didn't
you
know
hear
I was
me?
on the Nimitz with 41, and
I did.
That was
I
CAG
did
11.
know. I did know you were on the Nimitz. I thought that was before your time.
It was right around the same time. Yeah, it was all the same time. CAG 11, 117.
Were you on that workup?
I think so. Yeah, it's been a while, man. But yeah, I think so.
Were you airborne?
Ooh.
I was not.
Oh.
So
Did you know who was airborne?
Of course, dude. There's like 3 pilots in a E2 squadron.
yeah, yes. No, I don't think we had anything airborne at the time. So it was weird, man. I was real new to the squadron, but I do remember. I do remember it was a big deal, and it was frowned upon to talk about very quickly on the ship because they just didn't know what they were dealing with. Now, people that further on have their theories of what they were dealing with, and I'm not trying to knock Farva. Like, he's awesome, love that dude, great dude. Like, he was a great pilot. It's a great pilot.
Still is.
That's what it. Sorry. I mean, he was. And I mean, the pilots of 41 were fantastic. The air wing was fantastic. There's nothing negative to say about any of that. But you can imagine back in, was that 2004 or 5, whatever it was, to be saying this stuff. Like, dude, you're really hanging it out there, man. Especially in naval aviation, where it's like, you don't go outside your little window and say things like that. So I give him a lot of credit. Cone as well. She was the other one. And which I'm sure you've seen her interviews as well. And, but yeah, there was
Wow.
it sparked and then quieted down very quickly and was moved on. And then that was that. So,
Did you see the tapes in real time?
no, I did not. Because I was an E2 pilot and I did not care anything about tapes. I cared about my room and working out and
Dinner.
sliders and
All
that's
right.
about it. Yeah, I
Well,
didn't
let's
care
get back
about
to.
Intel tapes.
Well, let's see what the
mean,
man has to say.
Yeah,
Let's see what the
so
man
it's-
has to say about that.
Retired commander in the United States Navy. In 2004, I was a commanding officer of Strike Fighter Squadron 41, the world famous Black Aces. We were attached to Carrier Air Wing 11, stationed on board the USS Nimitz, and had begun a 2-month workup cycle off the coast of California. On this day, we were scheduled for a 2v2 air-to-air training with the USS Princeton as our control. When we launched off Nimitz, my wingman was joining up. We were told that the training was going to be suspended and we're going to proceed with real-world tasking. As we proceeded to the west, the air controller was counting down the range to an object that we were going to, and we were unaware of what we were going to see when we arrived. The controller had told us that these objects had been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space. We arrived at the location at approximately 20,000 feet, and the controller called merge plot, which means that our radar blip was now in the same resolution cell as the contact. As we looked around, we noticed that we saw some whitewater off our right side. It's important to note that the weather on this day was as close to perfect as you could ask for off the coast of San Diego. Clear skies, light winds, calm seas, no whitecaps from waves. So the whitewater stood out in a large blue ocean. All 4 of us, because we were in F-18Fs, so we had pilots and Wizzo in the back seat, looked down and saw a white tic-tac object with a longitudinal axis pointing north-south and moving very abruptly over the water like a ping-pong ball. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any sign of visible control surfaces like wings. As we started clockwise towards the object, my Wizzo and I decided to go down and take a closer look with the other aircraft staying in high cover to observe both us and the Tic Tac. We proceeded around the circle about 90 degrees from the start of our descent, and the object suddenly shifted its longitudinal axis, aligned it with my aircraft, and began to climb. We continued down another 270 degrees, nose low, where the Tic Tac, or we considered 270 degrees to where, and we went nose low to where the Tic Tac would have been. Our altitude at this point was about 15,000 feet, and the Tic Tac was about 12,000. As we pulled nose onto the object, within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerated in front of us and disappeared. Our wingmen, roughly 8,000 feet above us, lost contact also. We immediately turned back to see where the whitewater was at, and it was gone also. So as you started to turn back towards the east, the controller came up and said, "Sir, you're not going to believe this, but that thing is at your cap point, roughly 60 miles away in less than a minute. You can calculate the speed." We returned to Nimitz. We were taking off our gear. We were talking to one of my crews that was getting ready to launch. We mentioned it to them, and they went out and luckily got the video that you see, that 90-second video. What you don't see is the radar tape that was never released, and we don't know where it's at, of the active jamming that the object put on an APG-73 radar, and I can get into modes later if you're interested.
We're not.
What is shocking to us is that the incident was never investigated. None of my crew were ever questioned. Tapes were never taken, and after a couple days, it turned into a great story with friends.
All right, that Wombat, that's what you were just talking about.
Well, and that's the thing. So I didn't remember the exact timeline. I'll be honest with you. It happened before I got to the wall bangers. That was their workups prior to the deployment. People in the chat have mentioned the whole carrier special. That was the workup. They did the carrier special on PBS, which is notorious for the pitching deck episode and all that, which I think Farva's in that as well. And that's when I joined the wall bangers. But it was very much, I'd heard the stories from the guys that were there. And it was very much, like he said, it turned into like, whatever, it is what it is. Like there was nothing. And it was actually years later when he started talking out that I was like, oh, holy crap. That's what. So
he released the tape, right? He's the one that actually released the FLIR.
I don't know.
Later
honestly,
for the New York Times.
Maybe.
I thought there was some.
The two main ones were him and Cohn, right? Those are the two that have been interviewed. Like I don't have any of the Wizzos ever been interviewed.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't. Okay.
So 100% of these encounters have been Super Hornet F models so far.
No,
right?
well, no. I mean,
right?
Here in Florida, right, Mover, single seat.
Well, I'm talking that's on this hearing.
So
I'm
far.
Talking, yeah, I'm not talking who knows what about what. I'm talking from this hearing, 100% of this is Super Hornets.
Well, in the Navy and aliens defense. Charlie's not finding any of this crap. Let's be honest. I mean,
they're going after the lowest hanging fruit, man.
Exactly. Like, come on.
Okay.
All
right.
Come on. Dude.
All right.
100%.
What do you think about
my
the
job.
water?
Yeah, the water.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories with that, isn't there?
Yeah. If you listen to him on the Rogan, podcast, they expand quite a bit on the water stuff. But
Gonky, don't promote another podcast. It's our podcast, dude.
Yeah,
this is us.
I don't think you have to promote Joe Rogan. No offense. People know
I
who
don't want
he
him
is.
getting our viewers. Come
Ooh.
on, man.
We were almost famous, and then Rogan took all our viewers. Oh,
yeah. Damn it. Gonky.
The thing,
just saying,
like, isn't there? And I'm not saying I've heard this. I'm not saying that I buy into
Oh
this
boy.
thing, but
Well, then you're
isn't
ready
there a
for
conspiracy
Congress.
theory that there's like a whole under San Clemente, like base underwater type thing down there, or the Catalina Islands or something?
Isn't
There's
that
a
where
whole
Cobra Commander hangs out underwater.
but there's a whole thing that supposedly that's what people think. So I mean,
Okay. All right. Well, moving on. Back to the.
Yes, it was.
This is for any one of you. Based off of each of your experiences and observations, do you believe UAPs pose a potential threat to our national security?
Yes, and here's why. The technology that we faced was far superior than anything that we had, and you could put that anywhere. If you had one, you captured one, you reverse engineered it, you got it to work, you're talking something that can go into space, go someplace, drop down in a matter of seconds, do whatever it wants, and leave, and there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing.
Okay, either the other, you two?
Well, I would also like to add from a commercial aviation and military aviation perspective, we deal with uncertainty in our operating space as a matter of our professional actions. Identifying friend from foe is very important to us. And so when we have unidentified targets and we continue to ignore those due to a stigma or a fear of what it could be, that's an opening that our adversaries can take advantage of.
And so will you just, for the public...
Hold on a second. So why do they have to be a threat? They could be good aliens.
Could be.
Just send up the welcome wagon like we did in Independence Day.
Are good aliens as much fun to talk about, though?
I would
Yeah, that's true.
prefer to think that they are good aliens that want to help us and that it's not a threat.
Well, if they're smarter than us, they know that we need help because they have looked at our
That's
culture.
what I'm
and they're
saying.
like,
I mean, maybe they come in and give Wombat a new Mustang. I don't know.
I don't need a new Mustang. Good, thanks.
Easy mover. Easy.
Yeah, speaking of, Wretched Rob says, when is Wombat getting Gonky and Mover's decorator? Where's the potty chair, dude?
What are you talking about? I'm in a...
Thanks, Rob.
Well, first of all, Rob, I have a child. I'd love to read your books, Rob. So let's talk about
No,
who's
dude.
not
Wow.
doing
Hey,
things.
settle
he's
down.
talking
Rob's a
about-
friend of the...
I know.
He's talking about.
I've got a picture.
It is the E2. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like
Okay.
that counts as like 3 airplanes.
Keep it focused. Keep it focused. I mean, to an unadvanced civilization, the E2 is a UFO. It's a flying saucer.
Oh, we used to tell people that at air shows, actually. That was one of our...
Okay.
We would take the
But I
E2
mean-
to air shows and said that it would come off and go out and do its thing and come back. People are really gullible on stuff. I loved it.
It's like a bad movie where we're in front of Congress going, well, they're a threat because we don't know. It's like you're always yelling at the screen going, well, don't shoot them just yet. Let's figure out what their intentions are.
Here's the thing, man. If these officials really wanted to know, this entire event would be in a skiff.
100%.
Correct.
This entire event would be in a secure area,
If it were
and
a
there would
threat.
be no, I don't
Well,
know.
and I have a
Right.
hard time believing that conversation hasn't happened in a skiff at some level.
They say
in our
it does.
government.
They actually talked about there was
mean-
a subcommittee before the subcommittee, and then after the subcommittee, they didn't go in the vault because, well, I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure this stuff is briefed. I hope it's briefed. And then the other thing that we're not talking about here, and maybe it'll come up, and I don't want to, I'm not passing judgment on you guys. I give all these guys a lot of credit to come out and talk about whatever they think they saw. That's not an easy thing to do. We all know that because we've lived in the community where, you put your head down and shut up and just become one of everybody. I give them a ton of credit for them. They're well, at least Farva's a great pilot. I can't speak for the other guys. Don't know them. But has anybody brought up the fact that it's something we had that they didn't know about? I mean,
They do later on.
Okay.
Later on, one of the officials there asks about, is there anything that we have or somebody would have? And I think that's when Fravor says, no, that performance is beyond the, can't say it, like the metallurgy or whatever. We don't have components that can handle that kind of speed and acceleration.
That's actually the segue. It says this right here. Is this beyond our technology? It's right
There
here.
you go, right there.
I'm good at this.
Record again, once again, just briefly, just either describe or note that aircraft that are being witnessed, particularly by the 30 folks that you're working with, are essentially outside the scope of anything that we know of today and the technology we have today. Mr. Graves, Mr. Fravor?
Yes, the objects that are being seen by commercial pilots are performing maneuvers that are unexplainable due to our current understanding of our technology and our capabilities as a country. And that applies for the military as well.
Mr. Fravor?
Yeah, I concur with that. We have nothing that can stop in midair and go the other direction, nor do we have anything that can, like in our situation, come down from space, hang out for 3 hours, and go back up.
Thank you. My last question, and sometimes I know that you have also said some of these answers in the past. We're trying to get them on the public record as well, which is really important. Mr. Gresh, finally, do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector
51.
General, and some of which to the intelligence committees. I actually had the people with the firsthand knowledge provide a protected disclosure to the Inspector General.
Mr. Graves.
Hold on, before we get to that's this
Again,
question. How
I'd
do we
like to
it's not
know,
ours?
how do you know that these were not our aircraft?
Some of the behaviors that we saw in a working area, we would see these objects being at 0.0 Mach, that's 0 airspeed, over certain pieces of the ground. So what that means, just like a river, if you throw a bobber in, it's going to float downstream. These objects were staying completely stationary in Category 4 hurricane winds. These same objects would then accelerate to supersonic speeds, 1.1, 1.2 Mach, and they would do so in very erratic and quick behaviors that I don't have an explanation for.
Okay. Have you spoken to commercial and military pilots that have seen these off of our East Coast?
I have.
Okay. Mr. Favor, I noticed that in the Tic Tac video, it's Tic Tac like the candy, not TikTok like the Chinese Communist app.
That's correct.
Yes, sir. I just want to make that because my daughter corrected me on that and called me a boomer and said, "Hey, boomer," and I said, "No, baby, it's Tic Tac like the candy. You're gonna have to just look it up."
Okay, it's in the Geneva Convention. Look it up. What do we think about that? All those things that were just said. I'm curious about hurricane force winds. Why are they flying in that?
I would also fly erratically if I had just flown in hurricane force winds, just so we're clear. Especially if I just hovered in hurricane force winds, I would immediately try to get out of them and then probably fly fairly erratically. But I'm not.
Well,
that good of a
I mean,
pilot.
the theme from everybody apparently who's seen these things on radar is the erratic movement or no movement with like lots of winds aloft, right? So how's it staying there? So I mean, that's the question.
Well, so what my question is, therefore, how are they verifying this? Because radar, no matter what, in a electronic attack environment, is unreliable. So if there's any kind of trons being tronned, it's unreliable. I mean, it's just like saying, well, my radar showed this thing, was 0 to 1,000,000 miles an hour. Well, of course it did, because it wasn't reading anything. It wasn't, my sheriff's radar does that sometimes. I mean, that's
playing devil's advocate, though, that like they've claimed they've seen such things, right?
Did they see it at the same time, though? I mean, it's one thing to see something on the radar and then eventually correlate something where it was and go, well, that's the same thing, versus seeing it on the radar at the same time you're seeing it do the crazy things that you're seeing it do.
Well, typically, if you see anything, if you see anything airborne, it's either ATC calls it out for you to start looking, or you see it on radar first, and then once it gets within, visual range, you start looking for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, very rarely are you just flying along and it's like, oh, what was that?
When you're in the warning areas, a lot of times you're, no control at all.
Yeah, but you're
the East Coast guys
sanitizing.
are talking about.
Right, but what I'm saying is, I don't know. Most of the time, like, my eyeballs are cued onto whatever my radar is seeing. It's not like I'm just looking out there.
Big to small. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, big to small. So that's all I'm saying is, that's probably what they're doing, because you just sanitize your flight path. At least that's what I used to do. And then if I saw anything, I was like, hey, what's that? And then I would start training my eyeball on it. Which sounds like what these guys were doing. Try to get the
100%.
radar, AT FLIR if they have it, Wizzo, whatever.
Right, but my question is, though, were they looking at the radar, saw the thing, and then eventually saw it with their eyeballs?
I think that's what they were vectored on, at least with Farva. I think they were vectored on from the ship, saw it visually. Yeah. And then when the second wave went out, they got it on radar and recorded, or got something on radar and recorded. I don't know, to answer your question, Mover, I've never heard where a single or ship of aircraft got it on radar, big to small, got visual, watched what was happening, and correlated it to the movement.
That's my question, is the correlation, because we know radars can do wonky things, especially when they're new. There's all kinds of examples of upgraded jets.
And old. You should have seen me in the Hornet.
Oof. Well, that's what I'm saying. I've seen radars do some weird things, and it's not, oh God, the aliens are here. It's, oh, well, this thing's, okay, code 3.
Well, it's like Fravor said, so they had it on radar, which is what cued the AT FLIR to look at it. And then when he tried to lock it, that's when it kicked the radar off. But the Wizzo is able to keep the FLIR on target, because it'd be awfully hard to just with the FLIR just scan randomly out in front of you and find a TikTok. But
An EA pod will do the same thing, though. You do this. You do
Yeah.
that with any EA pod will do the same thing. It'll kick the radar off, and oh, look, the FLIR's unlocked. I mean, it doesn't give me proof of anything. It's not saying, well, it just goes to the unidentified part of this. That's
but
all.
usually the pod's attached to a plane. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean,
A plane, a drone.
They saw something, that's for sure.
the whole thing. What gets me
And it's
is
unidentified.
like
So-
me, like
It
me
is
and
a
Wombat
UAP.
has, like we've done that entire evolution of Comp2X and been out in that airspace stuff, and like, there's nothing
A
that
lot of
Fravor.
time in that airspace.
Yeah, there's nothing that Fravor says that I'm like, that's weird. Yeah, I mean, other than the fact that there's a
Well,
flying
I mean,
model out
something
there,
going
but
to 80,000 feet. Yeah, I think that's weird.
but the just how the events unfolded, and then what
Sure,
he
100%.
did, like that's how I was trained. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, so I don't. There's
I
nothing.
just think there's
that's-
a lot of Trons out there, man. And
Sure,
unless
I
you're
agree.
correlating
Oh, and
with
that
your
and in
eyeball,
that airspace, there's a lot of Trons. A
Yep.
lot
there's
of
just
Trons.
so much stuff that can make sensors do so many different things that, including ground stuff, that you're just like, okay, that's
Well,
all.
I-
That's all I'm
but-
saying.
Yeah, I'm at a loss. I'm on the
Yeah,
fence on
I'm
this one.
Yeah. Nick says, off subject question to you guys. You know anybody that's pooped or peed themselves during a long flight because they could not hold it? I
Yes.
don't know why. Yeah. I mean,
Really?
No,
You never
No.
had a helmet bag in your air wing, or?
no, I heard,
Oh,
Yeah.
but we were trained.
Oh,
Yeah.
were you?
Oddman would like to know, Wombat, were you there when they filmed the Carrier documentary since Commander Fravor was?
Thanks, Mod
featured?
Man.
Yes,
Yeah,
I was
thank you.
there. I was there.
Little
Towards the end.
Trill says, if the technology
Thank
is
you, sir.
advanced enough, it would not help. Yes, thank you. If we captured it, imagine a caveman finding a flat screen. How's he supposed to use it? There's no electricity and no TV signals. That's true, but we do have reverse engineering. I mean, we do have people, that's their whole job is reverse engineering, usually enemy tech, but
Right.
you're right. It could be like a dog watching TV. We don't know how much more advanced it is. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. D-Stu says, I think we were seeing a drip disclosure instead of a rip the Band-Aid off. As we will continue, I think there's a lot of Band-Aid ripping in this thing. This is not just, not that. And then, Fennell, old Brian says, we need some alien tech in our race cars. Chevy and Bimmers really need some help. And Adam says, thank you, Brian. These aliens are super intelligent. They're only screwing with Hornets and not
Super
Vipers.
Hornets. Super Hornets.
Super Hornets at that.
Two
yeah.
seat.
Two seat Super Hornets.
They're like, these guys are clueless.
And Little Trill.
Maybe they were trying to help him a little bit.
Just trying
Come
to get
this
Gonky
way.
back on step. Yeah, I mean,
I love making
that's
fun
a great
of
question. Would they be trying to make contact, or would they be observing, or are they alien billionaires that are in a sub that they told them not to do, and they're in here, and
Wouldn't that be
that's why they keep
hilarious?
crashing.
They're like, come onto this ship and you can watch these dumb humans fly around in their technological planes. They think they're so advanced. Like, that would be awesome. I love that story the best. It is aliens that are just laughing at us. That's my favorite.
It's alien space tourism.
Exactly. I love
And
it.
they're going. All right, back to what astonished you about the flight
Mr.
capabilities.
Favor, what
Fravor, sir.
astonished you
Not Favor.
the most about the flight
Tic-tac.
capabilities of these Tic Tac? Very briefly.
The
Tic-tac.
performance, absolute performance. It was.
And you're not aware of any other objects that anybody in the world has in this world that has those capabilities?
No, I think it's far beyond actually our material science that we currently possess.
Are you aware of any
That's
other
Lord.
reconnaissance platforms that have tracked or recorded the Tic Tac's maneuvers, maybe the NORAD system or any of the others?
I am not.
Okay. Mr. Gr-
Are we allowed to say Tic Tac? Is that not trademark infringement, like saying Kleenex?
Who knows?
That's trade name. But
He's a boomer, man. He can say whatever he wants.
I love how they're asking this guy. It happened 20 years ago, and it's like, do you know of any current tech that may or may not have resembled this? And it's like, he's not a DARPA. He doesn't know what we have. He just knows he was a Super Hornet guy that saw something weird.
Yeah. And he did.
Like
and
asking
I
for
believe him
Gonky.
in that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
So
Ryan says, in your opinion, is more training better, such as stall spin? Well, or is more technology, such as AOA indicators?
Both.
I think both. What do you think, Wombat? You're very much in the
Both.
training these days.
both. And as the resident upset recovery subject matter expert of the group, both. You need to train it, but technology never hurts. But if you don't understand the technology, then it's pointless. You need both.
Awesome.
100%.
Thank you, Ryan, for that question. Back to back to
thanks,
the
man.
hearing here.
Grush, thank you for being here, brother. Thank you all very much. Have you faced any retaliation or reprisals for any of your testimony or anything on these lines?
Yeah, I have to be careful what I say in detail because there is an open whistleblower reprisal investigation on my behalf.
that
And I don't
feel,
want
bro.
to compromise that investigation by providing anything that may
Been there.
help provide somebody information. But
Who
it was very
hasn't?
brutal,
I mean, come on.
This is the most
very
realistic part of this
unfortunate.
whole thing.
Some of the tactics
100%.
they used to
What is that?
hurt
Who's
me
getting an
both
email?
professionally
What is-
and personally, to be quite frank.
Do you have any personal
The
knowledge of
aliens.
people who have been harmed or injured in
There we
efforts
go.
to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes. Personally.
Have you heard? Have anyone been murdered that you would think that you know of or have heard
Murdered
of?
by-
I guess.
Are they
I
in
have
the
to
room
be
right now?
careful asking that question. I directed people with that
you didn't
knowledge
ask
to the
it.
appropriate
You
authorities.
were supposed
Maybe
to.
in a if we could get in a confidential area, skiff, we could talk about that. But unfortunately, we were
Brilliant
denied
idea.
access to the skiff. And
So that turned out to not be. They weren't directly denied access. They were basically saying he doesn't have the clearance that we need to talk about what we need to talk about, so we need to fix that before. They're not denying the subcommittee, because the subcommittee doesn't even need clearance, right? They are, as long as they have the need to know through the subcommittee, they are allowed
Really?
access to these. Yeah, yeah, because they're
I know
elected
so little
representatives.
about how things work.
Yeah,
Good
but-
for them.
I mean, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Do I believe that people got hurt because they tried to cover up stuff? Yes.
Well, so is he talking about, are they covered up because of the aliens? Gonky, what's going on with your mic, man?
Nothing.
It's heavy breathing. He's really
No.
He's really into
Does it
this.
sound crystal clear right now?
It does.
May or may not have some neighbor noise going on.
And that's very unfortunate in this scenario. Mr. Favor, do you believe
Fravor.
that you witnessed an additional object under the water in relation to your encounter?
I will say we did not see an object. There was something there to cause the whitewater, and when we turned around, it was gone. So there was something there that obviously moved.
Okay, it was not the same object though that you were looking at, correct?
No, we actually joked that the Tic Tac was communicating with something when we came back, and because the
It's not a
whitewater
funny
disappeared.
joke at all.
We were in another instance. We're told about the capabilities of a jamming during viewing of when there were some people chasing some of these objects. Did you experience any of that jamming or interrupting your radar or weapons system?
My crew that launched after we landed experienced significant jamming to the APG-73 radar, which was what we had on board, which is a mechanically scanned, very high-end system prior to the APG-79. And yes, it did pretty much everything you could do: range, velocity, aspect, and then it spit the lock, and the targeting pod is passive. That's what we were able to get the video.
Are you aware of
Boy, that sounds familiar. Having done that at Comp2X's a lot, done that to Super Hornets and Hornets.
So the Tic Tac was the F-18A from.
Tic Tac was me.
It was-
it was
it was
me
Mover.
at the Comp2X.
This is the big
With-
reveal.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Dude, you're going to
Jamming.
get 500,000 like that.
Troning.
Mover
Yeah,
was the
turns
Tic
out
Tac.
Mover is the alien.
Tic.
That email is
Uh,
Congress summoning you.
Yes,
Yeah, well,
exactly.
For legal reasons, this is a joke.
Totally.
But I'm serious.
There are no
though.
jokes.
I mean,
Yeah,
a
you're
lot
right.
of
We
what they're
carried a jammer
talking-
pod that could
We
do that.
carry
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah.
We're doing this at Comp2X's. There's other aircraft doing that. there's a lot going on. There's a lot of Trons out there.
But you
that
didn't
not
look like a Tic Tac.
necessarily-
You didn't look like a. I mean, you could
We have
fold
to-
the wings up on the old A
Gonky,
model. It'd be a little more
I
tic
know
tacky.
I know you're a hopeless romantic, dude, but we got to have the scientific method here, right? We have to say, you know, most realistic, least realistic. Is most realistic, are the aliens here, or is it a Comp 2X with a lot of jammers out there in the space?
Well, Wombat will tell you, Comp 2X is pretty much like the crawling before you walk. Like it's.
I was there. No, I've done them as the.
I know,
Redditor.
but what I'm saying is, it's like, it's not full on. So they're not going to have the. It's not going to be Trons all the time. Like
No.
at level 11.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying there may be plausible explanations for some of the things that were observed, and that's why I say, can you correlate them, and then provide data? That's all. I just think we should provide data. Wombat, you look like you're trying to either hold in something, or
Like I said
go
at the
back to
beginning,
previous question.
from being a kid until now, I believed in aliens. I stopped believing as soon as the government told me there was aliens.
He's not telling us all he saw in the Hawkeye. I know it.
Lil Trill says it's probably alien teenagers who stole Dad's spaceship.
Valid.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen or worked with SBX-1?
What is
I
that?
don't know what that is. Yeah, I don't know. What
Sorry,
that
Nick.
is. That's above my pay grade. Okay, continuing with.
This still goes on. We're still talking about this.
Oh, it gets good, man.
Oh, does
Maybe
it?
Our enemies that have that
Yeah.
capability.
No. Are there common characteristics to the UAPs that have been cited by different pilots? And can you
Yes,
describe
Cancer Wombat. Yeah.
what the
I
convergence of
didn't
descriptions
recognize
is?
the guy. I
Certainly.
wasn't saying anything.
We were primarily seeing dark gray or black cubes inside of a clear sphere.
I'm sorry, dark gray or black cubes?
Yes,
Well, now
inside
you're
of a
canceled.
clear sphere, where the apex or tips of the cube were touching the inside of that sphere. And that was primarily what was being reported when we were able to gain a visual tally of these objects. And that occurred over almost 8 years. And as far as I know, it still occurred.
Mr. Grush, what about you? What was your experience after you came forward?
Well, it's only been about 2 months or so I guess my experience has been overwhelming support from former colleagues of mine that have privately messaged me, and I do appreciate that. But I do have knowledge of active planned reprisal activity against myself and other colleagues, and it's very, very upsetting to me.
Coming from where?
Certain senior leadership at previous agencies I was associated with. And that's all.
my
I'll say
shocked
publicly,
face.
But I can provide more details in a closed environment.
Okay. Well, I hope you understand that there would be bipartisan rejection of any attempt to vilify.
See, okay, hold on. And then this goes to they are doing this dude a disservice, and he's doing himself a disservice. If this is the whistleblower thing, right? If he's got, hey, you guys need to look at this or else the world's going to end. Parading him out is not going to make this better.
Nope.
None of this
Make
is
it
helpful.
way worse.
I
way
just,
worse for
I have
everybody
heartburn
involved.
with that. Because he does a News Nation interview and then goes in front of Congress and they do this big thing and then they ask him about the reprisal and it's like, look, they should be going, hey, how's this investigation going? Have we finished the reprisal investigation? Because we need to find out the legitimacy of this before we go public. That's all.
That's a good point.
Because if it turns out it's something else, it
Yeah.
devalues the whole thing. It
Right.
devalues Farba, it devalues everybody. So
Right.
They 100% know that he's got a reprisal investigation going on because he's obviously told them before. He's made protected
Yep.
communications. Why are we going public right now when it's ongoing?
distraction.
Wombat, there. Another
Wombat, they
conspiracy?
would never distract us. The conspiracy
No.
is the conspiracy.
Never.
All right. So, Mr.
Roll it.
Those people.
And what is your general interpretation of these phenomena?
Are those
Or what is
aliens on
your
his do-rag?
current thinking of trying to make sense of them?
Well, I'll say, I'm not like a UFO fanatic. It's
Wrong.
not me. But I will tell you that
are now.
what we saw with 4 sets of eyes over a 5-minute period.
That's too many.
Still, there's nothing. We have nothing close to it. It was amazing to see. I told my buddy I wanted to fly it, but
That's a
it's
fighter
just an
pilot answer
incredible
right
technology.
there.
Or Mr. Graves.
I go with that. Like if he's saying I'd want to fly this thing, that's a fighter pilot answer. But I can't really buy into he's been on all the alien shows and he's in front of Congress and now he's not a UFO guy. You're a UFO guy at this point. Because if you're not a UFO guy, you never talk to anybody about this after it happened.
Dude, he's a UFO guy because he saw a UFO. I mean, you would be too.
I'm right. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Let's call it what it is. At this point, you are a believer. You are a UFO guy. That's it. You don't go on the shows if you're not a UFO guy.
I'm gonna remember this when you see a UFO and you go to Congress. Just so you know.
No,
If
it'll be
I'm
old
flying
hat. They won't
something-
talk about it by then. They don't care.
No,
it's only the
as
first
with
person
every-
that comes out.
As
Right?
with
The
everything
second
else, I will
person,
kiss the boat.
the second person who lands an Airbus on the Hudson River doesn't even get a book deal, right? It's only the first person, period. So you're too late, mover. You got to think of something new. 15 minutes. It's the truth.
Flying spaghetti monster.
Can you please explain to me
Hello,
in
Luna.
detail the event that occurred at Vandenberg Air Force
Puppy
Base?
dog.
Certainly. In the 2003 timeframe, a large group of Boeing contractors were operating near one of the launch facilities at Vandenberg Air Force Base when they observed a very large 100-yard sided red square
Let's use metric.
approach
How big
the
is that?
base
I'm
from the
confused.
ocean and hover at low altitude over one of the launch facilities. This object remained for about 45 seconds or so before darting off over the mountains. There was a similar event within 24 hours later in the evening. This was a morning event, I believe 8:45 in the morning. Later in the evening, post-sunset, there were reports of other sightings on base, including some aggressive behaviors. These objects were approaching some of the security guards at rapid speeds before darting off. And this is information that was received through one of
She's
the
gone. She's had
witnesses
enough.
that
She
had
just
approached
left.
me at Americans for Safe Aerospace.
Was this documented in any official form, whether it was a police blotter?
Yes, they had official
No,
documentation
the
and
cops
records
would
from
be
the
like,
event that
civil
the
matter.
witness,
We're
held
not
over
writing
the
it.
years.
Okay, and then another question on follow-up referencing the gimbal video Go Fast incident. Can you just clarify, because to our understanding, the footage was actually cut off at a certain point, but what happens at the end of that video, just for those Americans specifically there that are wanting to know about the rest of that footage?
High fives on
Certainly,
the carrier
there
deck.
was some uncertainty or instability with the object. It seemed to rock a bit, and that's the last I had seen of the video. Much of the data that I would recommend be analyzed would consist of radar data that would provide precise kinematics on the object, as well as the fleet of objects that were operating nearby.
If the UFOs are rocking, don't come a knocking. So, what do we think about that, Gonky?
Well, that was, the 100-yard or meter large thing running at
That's like a football
running
field.
at yeah, like coming at security guards. I was trying to imagine that. I can't.
300 feet.
Yeah, like
That's a 747.
pretty sure-
right? Isn't that?
yeah. I mean, pretty sure they got like cameras and stuff at Vandenberg. That's like it's an Air Force
I
base.
doubt it.
Outward
They would
facing,
have
yeah,
cameras.
at the gates for sure.
I mean, security there I know is probably decent.
Well, that's bigger than 10 by 15, right? So the one of them was 15 feet. This one's 300 feet.
yeah.
So they're shrinking
so-
their technology over the years. Is what I'm
Mothership.
imagining.
It's getting
No,
bigger as we go.
Why would the
One was,
mothership
one was
come
like
after
their
security?
Hawkeye. One was like their Hornet. I don't know.
It's
The
probably,
Hawkeye.
that's probably why the Hawkeye was lost. The Hawkeye one was like, "What are we doing? Is this flight
Vandenberg?
still going on? Like,
Am
no,
I
just-
still supposed to be pissing off these random airmen at the gate?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a flyby. Is your radar down? I'm doing flybys. This is.
I mean,
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I thought that part of the whole testimony was I don't know. It was all hearsay to me. It's like
The whole,
he didn't
yeah.
see any of it. He just heard about it. I mean, now I've heard about it. Can I go to Congress? I don't know.
Correct.
That part of it, I was
Donkey
like,
is on his way to Congress right now.
no,
Subpoena is en route.
Oh
Keep
man,
me
how cool
down.
would that be?
no.
Oh no, is that not?
Mover and
All-
Gonky. And
All I'm saying is like, it's like I said, it's just something that he heard. Like I'm more interested in what the
Well,
other
here
two
you go.
have to say.
here's a direct witness. Tom says, I know I saw what looked like a translucent Captain America, trademark, Shield in March 2019 over Baltimore area with a witness. Well, if it's over Baltimore, people are shooting at it. So
That's true.
that's war.
That's true. Yeah.
It
That's
looked just like one of the release videos, but not the Tic Tac. Freak me out.
Well, Tom, yeah.
There's a lot of things you see that, I mean, I went out in my backyard one night and saw things that I'm like, whoa. I mean, I think we need to differentiate something you cannot identify and something that is a threat from another world. Those are two
Again,
very
they could
different
be friends.
They could
Why
be
are we
friendly.
saying threats? Why are they? I mean, if
I'm just
not
saying.
friend, why friend shaped? I mean, I would think a box and a translucent tube is a friend.
We hope.
Are we going back to what we talked about
This is
before we
the-
came on?
This is the first comment. Dominic says, we'll know
Thanks,
they're
Dominic.
reverse engineering when we see a flying cube with a rotodome. Revix flight.
Oh, man. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
it'll look like Fat Amy.
Well,
An
there we
actual
go.
alien says every time a Biden scandal goes public, UFO gets its wings. Again, views do not represent anything or the DOD.
That's awesome.
Legendary says, I believe it's an undiscovered, governments know, advanced civilization living in the deep oceans and under the ice in Antarctica. They're conspiring to create a fake alien invasion to reenact world government. Aquaman was super nice when he finally realized.
Maybe it's like
his
Pacific
powers.
Rim.
Okay. What if it's Atlantic Rim?
True.
Did you see that movie? Did you see the Mover Ruins movies on that? That guy
saw
got the
parts
Medal
of
of
it.
Honor and a Huey.
It's hard. It was hard to watch.
All right, here's your boy right here. Here
You
we
have
go.
direct knowledge, or you had spoken people with direct
Elon
knowledge
Muskowitz.
that this imagery applies to crash sites, crash imagery.
I can't discuss that in an open session.
Okay. Do you have any information that the U.S. government is involved in a disinformation campaign to deny the existence of
We're in a
certain UAPs?
disinformation campaign and
I
everything.
can't go beyond what I've already stated publicly in my News Nation interview because it touches other sensitivities.
That's it right there.
What special?
So dude, I got heartburn with the News Nation thing, right? So we went on News Nation, and now we're in front of publicly in front of Congress. It just doesn't sit right, man.
Intel
all.
guys. Intel guys, man.
He's a GS-15 though. He knows better. Like if this is the thing, and I get it, you don't feel heard. You feel like the only way is to go on News Nation, which I'm not sure which channel that's even on, but the only way is to be on a cable news network versus an actual let the IG do their thing first.
Right.
Which maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I've seen that before too.
Special access programs cover this information, and how is it possible that they have evaded oversight for so long?
See, that's a stupid question. Special access programs, which I loathe to even say those words in a sentence. Yeah. If you're asking these questions, I mean, this guy should know better. It's like, hey, we should go to the vault. Why are you asking stuff? Because the answer is going to be,
Can't talk about it.
I do know the names. Once again, I can't discuss that publicly and how they've evaded oversight. In a closed setting, I can tell you the specific tradecraft use.
All right. When do
wouldn't
you
even say
think
that.
those programs began, and who authorized them?
I just told you the answer. I don't.
I do know a lot of that information, but that's something I can't discuss publicly because of
All right.
sensitivities.
How much?
Again. So why are we in this situation?
Why are we
Not
having this
behind-
conversation in a skiff? Like,
Correct.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you want to really
Why are-
know,
Why
Play the
are
radar
why
tape.
did what they should have done was have this
'Cause
privately,
it's not a
which I'm
distraction in a skiff.
well, like if this were legit, everybody would need to know and clearance would be in the back, and they go, "Hey, we already knew about this. Oh, cool. Okay, well, let's see if this is a real problem." Because you're saying either no one knows or everyone knows. So what's the conspiracy? Is the government incompetent and doesn't know that the aliens are doing the alien things, or is the government incompetent and they're hiding it from the American public because
I think the moral of the story is the government is incompetent.
there it is. Hey, play the.
Taxpayer money has been invested in
there's-
these programs. Your knowledge.
Thank you.
I mean, we audit the Pentagon every year, and I've been here 5 years, and they failed the dadgum thing every year.
This is
Shocking.
Standard.
Lose over $1 billion a year, we think, and I was told
we lose
public
it, or
affairs
do we
maybe
just-
60% of their assets are unaccounted
You
for,
don't think
whatever the
they've
heck that
spent
means.
$50,000
In the
on a
public
hammer,
sector,
$20,000
you go
on
to
the
jail for
toilet.
that kind of crap. So tell me.
Yeah, I know when I'm a dollar off on my DTS travel voucher, I get hammered, but it seems
That's
like
true.
it doesn't work the
That
other
makes
way.
him legit.
That is a
sell
That's a true statement.
$600 worth of stuff on eBay, now you get a call from the IRS. So please,
They wouldn't let
what
me leave the
corporation?
last
Yeah, I don't know
squadron
the
until I paid
specific metrics towards the end of your question.
$6.69.
The specific corporations I did provide to the committees in specific divisions, and I spent 11 and a half
Brought to you
hours
by
with both
Brondo.
Intel committees.
I'm going to take
Wait, he just says that. He spent 11 and a half hours with both Intel committees. He's already done this. So they already know these answers, and they're asking questions.
Yeah, I get the feeling that this is just a
Theater.
you to specific instances around the Phoenix Valley, because that's where I live. And
Mr.
in
Big goes to
97,
Congress.
we had the
Typical
famous
politician.
Phoenix
Can you talk
Lights
about
case. I don't know
my-
if any of you are familiar with that.
Yeah, enough about this. Let's talk about me.
There were two things that went along with that, and the explanation was military training range off Luke
Yeah.
and the Barry Goldwater range.
Yeah, because they were dropping Lu
Do
2
you know
flares.
anything different other than the official explanation of those lights?
No.
Only what's in the public vernacular about it. That was outside the scope of my duties.
You know why? I used to do this over Avon Park, Lake Placid. I would be capping. I would just be popping flares in a circle just to see if I could get the news to be aliens the next day. Because I was just bored in the
Speaking a
cap.
lot about your. I mean, I guess Navy
For
guys
legal
drop
reasons, this
penises.
is
Dude, you just crushed
True.
a whole bunch of people's dreams, Mover. They're
You
like,
did.
I know,
Yeah.
there's like half of Central Florida that's like, I saw the aliens, and it's Mover doing chaff, flare, chaff, flare, chaff, flare, low, out. Son of a. Sorry.
Now what do I do?
You've said that the U.S. has intact spacecraft. You said that the government has alien bodies or alien species. Have you seen?
Have you been probed or have you
seen the
probed
spacecraft?
anyone?
I have to be careful to describe what I've seen firsthand and not in this environment, but I could answer that question behind closed doors. Yeah.
And have you seen any of the bodies?
Somebody close these doors.
That's something I've not witnessed myself.
Okay, and so with that being said, you know, and the other statement that has been made that was intriguing to me because it's intriguing because my view has been that we are billions of light years away from any other system, and the concept that an alien species that's technologically advanced enough to travel billions of light years gets here and somehow is incompetent enough to not survive Earth or crashes is
There are the billionaires.
something that I find a little bit
Well, you don't
far-fetched.
send your
But
varsity
with that being
squad
said,
first.
you have mentioned that there's interdimensional potential.
We do.
Could you expound on that?
Is
I
that
can
crash
answer your
on the
first
moon.
question, and I'm here as a fact witness and expert, but I will give you a theoretical framework, at least to work off, to kind of espouse crashes.
What happened to the girl in the
regardless
background?
of
Replaced by
your
this
level
dude
of
with the
sentience,
tattoos.
right? You know, planes crash, cars crash. N number of sorties, however high, a small percentage are going to end in mission failure, if you will, as we say in the
Apollo
Air
13.
Force. And then in terms of multidimensionality, that kind of thing, the framework that I'm familiar with, for example, is something called the holographic principle. It derives itself from general relativity and quantum mechanics, and that is, if you want to imagine a 3D object such as yourself casting a shadow onto a 2D surface, that's the holographic principle. So you can be projected, quasi-projected from higher dimensional space to lower dimensional. It's a scientific trope that you can actually cross, literally, as far as I understand, but there's probably
I literally
guys with
just
PhDs that
re-entered
could probably
every
argue
intel
about that.
brief
But
I
you
was
have not
ever
seen
in the
any
military.
documentation that that's what's occurring.
Only a
theory.
theoretical framework discussion. Yes.
Okay.
Only what I've read on Twitter where they all talk about this stuff, which
could you simplify
getting-
that for me? Just a little. What
I
the hell
need
is he
that in
talking
ones
about?
and
Space.
zeros, my friend.
he's playing 4D chess when we're all in 2D space. Tim says, if the Princeton was controlled in the tic-tac-toe thing, why haven't those tapes come out showing some object coming down from 80,000 feet?
Well, Tim, that
Because
stuff
it's
probably is.
classified.
Yeah, it's probably in a skiff. I mean,
Or it doesn't
which is
exist
where
anymore
this
'cause they
whole thing
deleted it.
should have been.
They have no reason to save it 20 years later.
No.
So
Yeah.
But you have to believe if they saw something like that, they would have saved it. They would have skiffed it up, and it's put
Of course.
Because if they saw that, and I mean, okay, let's believe.
All right, because you're worried it's the enemy.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're like,
is it?
oh, like let's just this away. It's not gonna ever be released. I mean, even when they release stuff, they don't release stuff. They release the stuff they want. Like, how is this not distraction? It's obvious to me. Like, it has nothing to do with important laptops or anything like that.
Whoa. Whoa.
Not your laptop.
Save those
Gonky.
tapes.
A real important laptop.
Gonky's question. What are trans? Oh, trons. Is it Clutter, Gremlin? Is Gonky an alien spy? Trons are electrons. So
they're the things that make fighter pilots have girls.
Yeah, it's slang.
Stuff. Yeah, it's electrons. Either
we use it as kind of like nerd slang.
Or co-channel interference from the radar. You can have all kinds of interference. It's just stuff that's out there interfering with our ability to kill people and break their things.
Nerd chaff.
The actual alien says, I wanted to believe, but then the government said aliens were real. Shaq.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the only way to ruin Santa Claus for me is to have the Congress come out with Ocasio-Cortez and say there might be a Santa Claus. And I'm like, well, so much
safe and effective. Aliens are real. What's not to not believe?
This one's from Wombat. What do y'all think about Sunday's race in Darlington?
Oh,
I didn't even know there was a race in Darlington, so I don't know. But a Mustang won.
Wombat would know. He doesn't have a Mustang. He'll tell you.
That's true. Not a Mustang guy myself, but I've heard they're good cars.
Dominic says, maybe no skiff so the stuff can go on public record. And then
here's the thing, Dominic. Like I don't discount what Fravor is saying because, like I said, I can put myself in his shoes, and nothing 100%. Nothing to me. And I know his reputation as well because I was a Hornet guy when he was the skipper, and
fantastic
I just can't. Yeah, I just can't imagine him making this up. I just like there's
something happened that night. That's
right.
I just think there's a lot going on. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot of extraneous.
We don't know what it was.
Right.
David says, every time I see it televised, and thank you, David, congressional hearing, I'm scared that some of these people are in office, vote responsibly.
Just some of them?
Yeah.
Thanks, David.
All right, anyway, thank you, David.
That's awesome.
Back to the show. This one's near and dear to our heart, Gonky.
I'm aware of.
Several months ago, my office received a protected disclosure from Eglin Air
Was
Force
it you,
Base
Gonky?
indicating that there was a UAP incident that required my attention. I saw
It was probably me in a T-38. That's what they're like. Hey, it's a 4-ship of 38. It's lost.
Burchett and Congresswoman Luna. We asked to see any of the evidence that had been taken by flight crew in this endeavor and to observe any radar signature as well as to meet with the flight crew. We were not afforded access to all of the flight crew. And initially, we were not afforded access to images and to radar. Thereafter, we had a bit of a discussion about how authorities flow in the United States of America, and we did see the image. And we did meet with one member of the flight crew who took the image. The image was of something that I am not able to attach to any human capability, either from the United States or from any of our adversaries. And I'm somewhat informed on the matter, having served on the Armed Services Committee for 7 years, having served on the committee that oversees DARPA and advanced technologies for several years. When we spoke with the flight crew, and when he showed us the photo that he'd taken, I asked why the video wasn't engaged, why we didn't have a FLIR system that worked. Here's what he said. They were out on a test mission that day over the Gulf of Mexico. And when you're on a test mission, you're supposed to have clear airspace. Not supposed to be anything that shows up. And they saw a sequence of 4 craft in a clear diamond formation for which there is a radar sequence that I alone have observed in the United States Congress. One of the pilots goes to check out that diamond formation and sees a large floating, what I can only describe as an orb, Again, like I said, not of any human capability that I'm aware of. And when he approached, he said that his radar went down. He said that his FLIR system malfunctioned and that he had to manually take this image from one of the lenses, and it was not automated in collection as you would typically see in a test mission. So I guess I'll start with
Sounds
Commander
like a horrible
Fravor.
test mission.
How should we think about the fact that this craft that was approached by our pilot had the capability of disarming a number of the sensor and collection systems on that craft?
Well, I think this goes to that national security side, and you can go back through history of things showing up at certain areas and disabling our capabilities, which is disheartening. And for us, I mean, like I said, it completely disabled the radar on the aircraft when it tried to do it, and the only way we could see it is passively, which is how he got that image. So I think that's a concern on what are these doing, not only how do they operate, but their capabilities inside to do things like this.
And how should we think about four craft moving in a very clear formation, equidistant from one another, in a diamond? In all of the phenomenon, perhaps, Mr. Grave, that you've analyzed, have we ever seen multiple craft in a single formation?
I have one particular case, and that was during the gimbal incident. The recording on the AT FLIR system shows a single object that rotates. You hear the pilots refer to a fleet of objects that is not visible on the FLIR system, and that was something that I witnessed during the debrief as part of the radar data on the situational awareness page. I would like to add, however, Congressman, there's a small bit of anger, I would say. I would feel that those pilots are still facing that difficulty in reporting this topic, and they don't have the tools to be able to mitigate this issue.
They just need to go on
It just goes to
News
show how serious this is and why this is such an important issue for our pilots and for our nation.
It was stated explicitly to me by these test pilots that if you have a UAP experience, the best thing you can do for your career is forget it and not tell anyone. Because any type of reporting, either above the surface or below the surface, does have a perceived consequence to these people. And that is a culture we must change if we want to get to the truth.
We've also...
So, Gonky.
Well, well,
Matt, go ahead.
I mean, Mover, you were there. They kind of when all this was, gaining
there
some
were
steam,
notems,
if you will. Right.
Yeah,
No,
there
and
were
then
notems,
remember,
there were.
We were talking about it, right? We got like an email or like, hey, if you see something, whatever, document it, right? I mean, we were all talking about it because they were seeing that stuff like Getz is saying right off the coast of, right where we used to fly. So, I mean, I can imagine if you tried to come out with something, if you had pictures and stuff, leadership would probably frown upon it.
Well, especially since you don't have a camera in the cockpit, so you're taking pictures with your cell
That could be not
phone?
allowed.
Frowned upon.
Could be, yeah. And you bring up a good point is I wonder what took the pictures that Getz saw. I wonder if he's talking still about a targeting pod. I mean, it couldn't be it maybe
Well, he said it didn't work, right? So what else?
Yeah. Cell phone?
Is there? Yeah.
I mean, but
I just
that's
picture a
tough.
4-ship of 2-foot T-38s trundling across the airspace, and they're like,
Transponders off. Yeah, transponders off. It's like, who are these guys?
Yeah. They're in a diamond formation, and the lieutenant's trying to figure out.
The best part of that whole interview is Getz describing meeting base security.
Yeah.
At the
telling them
beginning.
that this is what we do.
Let me tell you how this is going to work.
All right,
I don't
Wombat,
know.
what do you think, man?
What aircraft was that?
They didn't
That
say.
was-
So the test
So-
has. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not.
They have Vipers and Eagles and
Strike
the new
Eagles.
EX. They have the new EX, or I don't know
So-
if they did it this time. I don't know when it was done, but they had the EX when we were there.
Can I hypothetical?
Sure.
You guys are going. You guys are going out on a test mission. Okay, you're a test flight, and you're going to take off and run your tests. What if you're not the tester. You're the testee for another program.
This could be good book material.
Right?
I totally see what you're saying.
I think they would deconflict the airspace. I don't think
they necessarily would have to. I mean,
I understand what
so
Wombat's
the biggest
saying.
issue,
Yeah.
one of the things that bothers me about all of this is we don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that technology. We don't have it. Nobody knows. The whole program is designed so very few people know the whole thing.
It's true.
You got a point.
And I will tell you from 20 wonderful years in the military that I have nothing bad to say about. If you, for an instant, think that two separate entities don't communicate to each other and coordinate with each other, you're a fool, because I sat on 4 deployments where we couldn't even coordinate on the same ship together. Like, let alone know what the Air Force is doing, what the Army's doing, what the missile guys are doing. So I'm not discounting Farva. I think that guy's fantastic. I'm not discounting that he saw something.
Sex.
I'm not discounting any of that. What I'm saying is, and it kind of came to me when I'm listening to this guy, it's like, dude, that could have very easily been you're the person they're testing on, and it's somebody else that you don't know about. And that's okay.
I understand.
And it would make sense to me that when you brought that to your command leadership, they're like, because maybe the leadership's read in and they need to know because they're sending flights up against this.
But why wouldn't they tell the congressman?
They probably did.
Maybe he's not read into Sector 7.
Maybe he's not read in. Maybe it's there's things that, dude, it's again. Not saying there's not aliens. I'm just saying there's a lot of things you can explain by just understanding how the military works and doesn't work within itself.
Right. Yeah.
And it is, I think the average American, and God bless you all for thinking this, but the average American thinks, I mean, it's that old joke of like, military grade, and a civilian's like, yes. And all of us are like,
we want civilian grade in the military.
Yeah. Can we get civilian grade? So again, I'm not saying that's what this is. I'm not discounting this guy. I'm not trying to discount any of these people, but I'm like, dude, there's 2 sides to every test.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe they're testing our equipment to see, hey, maybe we're testing our equipment to see what we can see and not see, because guess what? We know our capabilities compared to, say, our adversary's capabilities, right? So if we have other capabilities that can then squash our capabilities, and our capabilities are better than our adversaries, well, guess what? I don't have to test it against our adversary now because I know it's going to beat them. I'm just saying.
So they're testing
they did
against
that with
the
the F-35. They did that with the F-35. I mean, when it was first coming out, they would put it in scenarios and not tell anybody.
Yeah, they did it with the Raptor too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there was red flags.
It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. Like, I don't know why.
Well, the reason why this one's a little weird is because, the whole 80,000 feet surface underwater.
That's one comment.
80,000. These numbers are all radar derived. I go back to my original point about the Trons. There is nothing solid that says these numbers are factual. You saw with your Mark 1 eyeball. All they saw was weird things happening.
And something on the radar.
Well, the boat radar is pretty tight.
It is.
They've got big generators.
But again, who's to say they weren't testing the ships?
It's a Comp 2X.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's all part of it, man. You flew mission profiles as a missile to test the ship's detection.
All right.
I did. Yes.
Adam says it was the Cup race at Richmond. Blue Mustang won with Chris Buescher. I didn't watch that race. Richmond's kind of boring to me. But
my boy was very happy that a Mustang won.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Adam. Big Killer says y'all should ruin Iron Eagle 3.
I think Iron Eagle 3 ruined Iron Eagle 3.
Correct. Too easy.
Stu says, do you all know retired in 2019 pilot Chris Leto? He was at the hearing. No.
And I don't want anybody to think I'm not supporting our pilots.
No.
I don't. 100% support. I give them all the credit in the world to come out and talk about this. It is not easy.
Yeah.
But
this is a conversation that would happen in like a ready room among 3 fighter pilots is what you're witnessing, basically.
100%.
The alien says he means no harm. Gonky enjoys the probes.
I wonder how many followers I'm going to lose today.
Brian says,
Thanks, Brian.
Is there any circumstance where any of you experienced a sensory illusion with another aircraft where it appeared they did something impossible? Every time I did BFM against Nimitz or Keith Beamer, when I fought those guys, like, yeah, of course. Of course you see stuff that...
Especially at night.
Especially at night. That's exactly right. At
On
night.
goggles? Are you
Did
kidding
any of
me?
these things happen at night?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
You see all kind of crap at night
Dude,
that you
I
can't
had
explain.
to talk a wingman off trying to join up on the moon at night.
Yeah. How many
That's
times
not the
have-
tanker, bro? It's over here.
Or civilian airliners or a shooting star. You're like, is that a SAM launch? You like, there's all kind of stuff happening at night on goggles. I mean,
goggles are the worst. And
Yeah.
best, but worst.
I didn't know.
That's
that.
right.
What personal items would you bring in case of diverting to another base? A credit card.
Yep, that's all you need.
And
Credit
just
card
take off and leave the next
this
day.
right
Hopefully
here.
you can leave when they refuel it and get you back. Like, hopefully it's like, hey, can you turn this jet? The weather's picked up.
Right.
You
You need the
anyway.
fuel card and your personal credit card are the two things you need.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. All right, this is the last. Do we want to watch this? What was he doing in San Diego? We know it was a Comp2X. Do we need to watch this?
know it's a
man. You're on a roll.
All right.
Want to get to the truth.
We've all seen the floating Tic Tac video that you
Tic-tac.
engaged with on
Every time they say
November
that.
14th, 2004. Can you briefly talk about
20,
why you were off the
19
coast
years
of
ago.
San Diego that day?
Yeah, we were at a workup with all the battle groups. So we integrate the ships with the carrier, the air wing with the carrier, and we start working. So we were doing an air-to-air defense to hone not only our skills, but those of the USS Princeton when they had been tracking them for 2 weeks. The problem was that there was never manned aircraft airborne when they were tracking them. And this was the first day. And unfortunately, we were the ones airborne and went and saw it.
Why
Do you remember
unfortunate?
the weather that day? Was
We
it
didn't get shot
cloudy or
down.
windy or anything out of the ordinary on the
already
Pacific
talked about
coast?
It was
this.
actually, if you're familiar with San Diego, it was a perfect day. Light winds, no white caps, clear skies, not a cloud. It was, for flying, it was the best.
Now, is it true that you saw, in your words, a 40-foot flying Tic-Tac shaped object?
That's correct. Or for some
It was
people that
dancing.
can't know what a Tic Tac is, it's a giant flying propane tank.
There you go.
Did this object
Those are
come
under
up
the
on
sea
radar
now.
or interfere with your radar
Pretty soon.
or the USS Princeton?
The Princeton tracked
Starting
it,
to
the
put this
Nimitz
all
tracked
together.
it, the E2 tracked it. We never saw it on our radars. Our fire
E2
control
tracked
radars
it.
never picked
Wombat,
it up.
did you track it?
The other airplane that
Come
took
on,
the video
man.
did get it on a radar. As soon as it tried to lock it, it jammed the radar, spit the lock, and he rapidly switched over to the targeting pod, which you can do in the F-18.
From what you saw that day and what you've seen on video, did you see any source of propulsion from the flying object, including on any potential thermal scans from your aircraft?
No, there's none. There's no IR plume coming out. And Chad, who took the video, went through all the EO, which is black and white TV, and the IR modes, and there's no visible signs of propulsion. It's just sitting in space at 20,000 feet.
In your career, have you ever seen a propulsion system that creates no thermal exhaust?
No.
Balloons.
Can you describe how the aircraft maneuvered?
Abruptly, very determinate. It knew exactly what it was doing. It was aware of our presence, and it had acceleration rates. That mean it went from 0 to matching our speed in no time at all.
Now, if the fastest plane on Earth was trying to do these maneuvers that you saw, would it be capable of doing that?
No, not even close.
Viper could do it.
And just to
Have you ever
confirm, this
seen
object
Wombat
had
do
no
a
wings,
flyby on a
correct?
Hawkeye?
No wings.
Now, was the
Viper could do it.
aircraft that you were flying, was it armed?
No, never felt threatened at all.
Whoa, that's not the question.
If the aircraft
was weird.
armed, do you believe that your aircraft or
That's a
any
stupid
aircraft
question.
in
Stupid
possession
answer.
of the United States could have shot the Tic Tac down?
I'd say no. Just on the performance, it would just left in a split second.
Also, switchology.
It looks
it's
like-
a two-seat. There's a good chance.
There's a problem here that needs further investigation.
Yes.
In your belief, is this flying Tic Tac? I mean, is it capable of being the product of any other nation on the earth?
No, I said, like I said earlier, I think it defies current material science and the ability to develop that much propulsion. And I know there's been some physicists who have done calculations, which is beyond anything that we have.
Well, either the United States has an adversary here in this world that we don't know, or we really have some serious investigations to do. I really appreciate you being here. Is there anything else about the November 14th, 2004 incident that you think is important for this committee to know that you haven't been asked here today?
No, it's been said it's probably the most credible UFO sighting in history based on all the sensors that were tracking it, and then for us to get visual and to go against the naysayers that it's something on the screen or whatever. I mean, there's 4 sets of human eyeballs. We're all very credible.
Mover.
Of the 6 of us that were involved in the thing, including the video, every one of us is going to do 20 plus years in the military in very responsible positions. So
what is the most vivid, concrete sighting with the naked eye of the objects that you described before, the cube-like objects?
Certainly. I think the most vivid sighting of that would have been near midair that we had at the entrance to our working area. One of these objects was completely stationary at the exact entrance to our working areas, not only geographically, but also at altitude. So it was right where all the jets are going, essentially on the eastern seaboard. The 2 aircraft flew within about 50 feet of the object, and that was a very
so
close visual sighting.
Dude.
And you were
telling
in one
me
of the
that
aircraft?
they don't have
I was not.
TCAS.
I was there when the pilot landed. He canceled the mission after, and I was there. He was in the ready room with all his gear on, with his mouth open.
Just like Top Gun
and I asked him
Maverick.
what the problem was, and he said he almost hit one of those darn things.
He said he was 50 feet away from it?
Yes, sir.
And his description of the object was consistent with the description you gave us before?
A dark gray or a black cube inside of a clear sphere.
Inside of a clear sphere?
Yes.
And with no self-evident propulsion
That doesn't
system?
sound like a balloon
No
at all.
wings, no IR energy coming
way.
off of the vehicle, nothing tethering it to the ground. And that was primarily what we were experiencing out there.
So a balloon.
So a box that would transmit inside a balloon.
I mean, I'm not for it or against it, but I mean, Mover and I were in the ready room when like one of our bros told us about one of these things, and he's a credible dude. And I mean,
I'm not saying any of these guys aren't credible, but there's
the way he described it though was this sphere thing was cruising with him at like 450 true. I mean, that's no.
Did the tether of
Publix
the
makes
balloon
some-
hook to his plane? Is that why it was? I'm kidding. I'm
Publix
totally
makes some really good balloons, man, but they're not going
Moving-
to hold up at those speeds.
Moving on, Gonky, this one's near and dear to your heart. Our aircraft carrier is obsolete. Douglas,
Apparently,
take it
that's
away.
what we just looked at. Yes, they are.
So this was what on Microsoft News? I lost track.
Incredible.
There's an article that's asking the question: are aircraft carriers obsolete in light of hypersonic ship killer missiles? The article goes on to suggest that maybe people who think so are not paying enough attention, though. Gonky?
Yeah.
Dude, what's in your search bar? Hold on. What are you searching for up here?
Yikes.
That was my demonstration. That was my demonstration of the noisy keyboard.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answer
Yeah,
to.
what genre is that you're
I can't even read
searching for?
that.
That's just
It's a
what I
niche.
was- Gonky, you're not going to pass your physical. Gonky, take it
No.
away.
Probably not. No, hey, the argument of our carriers viable has been going on for a while. I even think the Air Force, tries to poo-poo on spending billions of dollars on aircraft carriers, which I'm of the opinion that an aircraft carrier is just like it's like an F-18. It's just a pawn in the plan. I mean, if you send a single carrier to fight somebody credible, it's not gonna turn out too well. But if you send it in there as part of a sound layered plan, it has its place. That's my own opinion. But I don't know. Wombat, what do you think, man?
I think your
carrier
opinion
type
is 100% spot on. The aircraft carrier was not designed ever to be its own fighting entity. It is designed to be in a battle group. There's always been threats. I'll take a hypersonic missile that could be fired 2,000 miles away over a missile that's going to hit me when we're going through the Straits of Hormuz. That's right there. There's a hell of a lot more time for them to track the 2,000-mile missile and hopefully knock it out of the sky than the one I can hawk a loogie onto the enemy territory as we're going through. Like, there's always been threats to carriers. That's why it's designed with a battle group, and it's not.
Yeah.
They serve their purpose. Like,
I will
Power
say
projection.
this: as
Plus
far as
great
the
flybys.
carrier, as far as the carrier being able to really defend itself, it really depends on the weapons posture of the air defense commander. Because I had this conversation with him when I was going through my upgrades. Like, hey, if some bad guys get past me, if I'm doing like defense for the ship and somebody gets past me and I hand them off to you, you know, roughly how long does it take for you to do your thing and they blow up? And he's like, well, it depends. And he went through all the tiers of, you know, hey, this is a free for all to like, we're just going to see what happens. And it's
Are we at general
literally,
or is it mid rats?
Right.
It's very different.
Is it lunch? Right. So it really depends on the posture of the battle group's air defense. Because I mean, if they're locked and loaded, it's gonna be real hard to sink the ship. But if they're, you know, if they're in a pretty relaxed posture, well, right, the Stark, right, took one in the side. I mean, a surprise is probably the best bet, right? Pearl Harbor. I mean, any surprise is going to be your best bet. But she's ready to go. I think it's going to be tough.
Every time I make fun of you, Gonky, the dial-up comes back.
That's awesome. That's funny.
Really?
It's the mic. There's something with your.
So same thing that
Is
happened.
the
to me
wife
last
making
week,
a phone call again?
Mom,
No, I
get
don't
off
have
the
that.
internet.
Okay, I've got a couple messages about this. The AOL thing's a joke. I actually have fiber optic internet. Like
I actually have
the best you can
Hotmail.
I'm just kidding. I actually do.
I know you do. Way more
Brian says, I work at a university in the College of Sciences. We are all pretty skeptical of this is being discussed in the open. Public looks out for aliens. Meanwhile, Skunkworks produces new assets.
Or
distraction.
Yeah.
If the government trusts me, maybe you could too. John, thank you, Brian. John says, thanks, Gonky. Keeping open mind for reality. Your compadres show up as Tokyo Rose.
I will tell you something I've noticed from reading the comments. John
Thanks,
is not
John.
a huge Wombat fan. I will tell you that right now.
Go buy
come on.
Wombat's book if you
He
haven't
is
already
not.
during this chat. Go buy a Wombat
Look,
book.
if they
Next
pick on
on
you,
the-
Wombat, you know, if they pick on you, they love you.
Yeah. Next on the show, Douglas, are you ready?
I am ready.
Send it. Hold on, we got to make it on.
Was it sent?
You got that?
Send it.
Yeah, this was mentioned in the chat earlier that Northrop Grumman is not going to bid on the Next Generation Air Dominance Fighter program. So who does that leave? Boeing and...
Yeah, it leaves Boeing and Lockheed. So I dove into this a little bit, and it looks like Northrop Grumman wants to focus all the resources on the bomber they're building, which I don't know a whole lot about because I'm not really a bomber guy. But
It looks like a B-2.
yeah,
it's
smaller
a
B-2, right?
B-21.
So
yeah,
they want to make sure that thing is on schedule, on time, you know, no issues. So that's why. But you know, Northrop Grumman is not. It's not like they're not going to get part of the pie, right? So a lot of people don't know, but like Northrop Grumman actually builds like the nose, the front part of the F-18. So you know, all these aerospace giants, they all kind of get a piece of the pie, but they're not going to be, I guess, submitting a formal proposal. I think it was this article I was reading. I don't really agree with the author. He was trashing the F-22 as, hey, as soon as it came out, it was obsolete, which I don't believe that. I'm a firm believer, and they didn't build enough of them. And if they could crank them off the assembly line right now, the United States Air Force would be a lot stronger of a force instead of, you know, F-35. But yeah, that's why that they're not doing the bid, is they want to focus on the bomber, which, you know, good on them, because you know, delays are expensive.
Well, and building a prototype is expensive too. I mean, the whole idea that you're going to do a next gen fighter with all the requirements that they're given. You know, I had an engineer from the Air Force that was on, who was part of the YF-23, YF-22 competition, and there's so much behind the scenes, and you do this, and hey, how about we want this, and let's add all these requirements, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, none of these are realistic, and we can't do it, and they're going to spend so much money creating this prototype, and then may or may not even get it when they maybe see the writing on the wall, like, hey, we can't compete for the whole thing, maybe we'll just get these little pieces and not spend all this money. So,
or maybe they're the ones that developed the first alien ship, and they're way ahead of all this. They don't need this.
Maybe they already.
This is pocket change.
Maybe they already have. So we're going to move ahead to the voice messages for that. So Doug, we're not going to talk about the other thing there. And we got 2 of them this time. If you ever want to send us something, it's on Spotify. The first one.
Are you playing one?
I'm playing. There's 2 of them, dude. There's 2 of
okay.
them. And there's one that's like from deep within China.
Ooh.
So yeah, check this out.
It's kind of weird.
Ready? And send it.
Hello, Mover and Gonky. Long-time listener,
and
first-time caller. Wow. Your channel is my favorite. Well, second favorite after Grand Thumb.
Grand Thumb.
So I live in China, behind enemy lines.
Behind
and
enemy
I want to tell you about the Chinese Air Force and the Chinese Navy. They are not what they seem to be. I can tell you that their professionalism is nowhere near the U.S. Navy. It's more of a, I don't know what to call it. The thing about the Chinese culture and the military culture is that these people do seem to lack a soul. They are part of the collective group. They can only act as a group. There's no individual. So all there is that
he got, like, at that point, that's the end of the message. So
he got executed. That's what you could say.
Social credit score just went to 0 by the time that 1-minute message was out. But he makes some good points, and it's very fascinating coming from China, right? Of what their perspective is of us and of themselves. Gonky, you spent a lot of time in Asia.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, what he described was basically communism, right? He said they have no soul. They all operate as, this one deal.
Hive mind.
Yeah, that's culture, right? And I think, we talked about the last show. Like, I think that's what really separates the West, from that mindset is our culture, which I think is changing, not for the good, but
we're going to that. We're trying to become a hive mind.
Yeah, which is bad. I flying in Malaysia, I did get a little bit of experience flying under MiG-29 control, like how they would do it, which is how the Russians do it, right? And I was shocked at how ineffective it was. At least, maybe if I was in a MiG-29, it would have made sense. But in an F-18, having been taught to be rather autonomous and being able to, assess the situation and make a decision and go, that was all taken from me. And the things that were being told, I was being told to target and do all these things. I'm like, this is not good. And it was not good. But listening to that message, it's like the guy, he's credible, I would say. I don't know him. I don't know if he actually knows anything about the Chinese Navy or Air Force, but I within the realm of truth, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hope we never get to the point where we find out the truth, but I think there's a lot that we think we know about both sides. Like, I think there's a lot they think they know about us, and there's a lot we think we know about them, and the only way to really find out is the worst possible scenario and something we want to avoid, because nobody wins. It's not going to be fun.
No.
Cool. Well, thanks for that, Ray. I hope you're okay.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And the next one is from BC. Here we go.
Hey guys, BC here. I hear a lot of banter between you guys from the Navy and the Air Force. And I was also wondering, is there also a lot of banter between different airframes? For instance, the Fiber guys versus the Hornet guys and the Fat Amy guys and girls, by the way. Is that a thing, and why is that? And is there some kind of top of the food chain airframe that everyone looks up against and they look down on everyone? Love to hear it, and very interested in your insights, and really enjoyed the show. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yes.
So I remember the first time I went to Northern Edge. I'll never forget this story. So up in Alaska, and it was the first time the Raptors were coming to Northern Edge ever, right? So
to speak.
So all the Viper guys show up, right? And I was like, wow, Viper. I mean, it's cool, right? Well, then the Eagle guys roll in and they squash the Viper guys because that's how they act. Well, then now the Raptor guys come in, and the Eagle guys aren't used to
nerds
not being at the top of the fighter pilot food chain. And we were all out at this massive restaurant in Elmendorf, and we paid the waitress to go over to the Raptor table and play this whole thing up. There was the Hawkeye Squadron. We paid her extra, and she walked over and she goes, are you guys here for that big exercise? And of course, I mean, picture these Raptor guys, they're out and they're just, yeah. And she goes, oh my God, do you fly that sexy E2 with the dish on top? It was the funniest thing to watch those guys, just their egos implode. And like one of them's like, no, we're real fighter pilots. And she's like, well, I would do some real things if you flew that plane, and walked away. And it just deflated the whole, it was so like, she played it up so good. And I was
perfect.
Like, awesome. Awesome.
And then we all got
Viper guys
for doing low transitions. So
in the E2.
Whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh-huh. Viper
the
guys
whole exercise got grounded. Because we got into a low transition takeoff competition, and the colonel literally, or whoever it was that was in charge of it, literally sat over everybody, and he was like, I knew it was bad when the Hawkeye got involved. We're done. No more low transitions. I was like, yes. So
yeah. I mean, to answer the guy's question, it's basically you have pride in your work, right? So you're right. You're proud of your airplane, no matter what it is. I mean, Wombat, you were proud to be a Hawkeye guy when you were. That's why you guys play that joke on the Raptor nerds, right? So, like
nerds,
it's it's kind of like
because
the
everybody takes things too seriously too. So you have to have a good time with it because it's a high stress job. I mean,
well, and here's the other thing: it's like the Hawkeye is way better than the Raptor at carrying 6 people.
That's a fact. It's fine.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
way to know your Navy aircraft. Thanks, buddy.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's subjective. And like I said, man, it's just like in sports, right? The high school team in the neighboring town, those guys are nowhere near as good as you are. So it really has to do with just squadron pride, airframe pride.
100%. And you have to think you're the best, or else you would never do the job you're asked to do.
Yeah.
Like if you legitimately didn't think you were the best and you climbed into aircraft built by the lowest bidder and got launched off an aircraft carrier, you're nuts.
By the lowest bidder.
I've seen that comment a lot from because obviously I've maybe done a few YouTube videos, and I read all the comments, and I see that a lot, especially like when I did the Su-57 thing, because people are like, you'd be shaking in your boots if you saw one in the air, and it's like, I would be the worst fighter pilot in the world if I thought that. Like, go up there, if I'm in a jet, I think I'm going to win. I think I will use all the trainings, tactics, techniques, and procedures that I've been trained
right
to
the
do.
fireball.
Right to the end. I will keep flying that thing until the very bitter end, and there's no point where I'm going to go, well, I'm going to die. I mean, you might think that way in the back, which we'll get to that in a minute.
Not conscious.
It's like, dude,
you believe it.
Yeah. It's like, it's the old joke. It's like, I wasn't defensive. I just wasn't very offensive,
Yeah, I was slightly less offensive.
Right. At that point, Mover, we were doing some training in my current job, and there was a story about like a pilot just froze, right? In training, just froze. And I'm like, froze? I'm like, I'm going to be the guy that's still trying to fly the Airbus when I see the fuselage over there. And it's just me in the cockpit. Nothing's attached. And I'm like, I think I could pull this one off. Give me a
chance.
Just
a flesh wound. It's just a flesh wound.
I mean, that's just how you're bred. And I think that oozes out to everything else. The camaraderie, all that. I mean, it's no different. And we all secretly know that you need everybody. I mean, somebody's got to bring the good golf courses and cold beer. I mean, that's just
the
a
war
fact.
needs Zamboni drivers. I mean, who's going to clear the picture for us, the people that actually do the mission, the Eagle guys?
That's true.
I mean,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, I mean,
and, you know,
everybody has their role. It's just nobody's role is as good as your role. That's all.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. It's like the old Mel Brooks movie, Let Them All Go to Hell Except Cave 76. Yeah, that was his whole national anthem.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. That was a good one. Some good stuff there. We used to our Viper guys used to taxi by the Eagle and go to sec, which would close the nozzle because of the.
That's funny. Is that like you did the joke on the carrier deck? I'm sure, Gonky, where you would put the refueling probe out for certain personnel.
Oh,
yeah, that was fun. The whole line of fighters, and somebody would walk by and just see refueling probe, refueling probe, refueling probe.
All right.
Until the air boss was like, "Knock it off."
Yellow light.
Yeah.
Dan, just thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Appreciate for the thing there. All right, and our final topic for this evening. Actually, it's not the final; it's the second to final. One of the most important things. So let's get serious. The mental health minute. And I've had to do this a lot lately. You can use this in your personal life. We use this a lot. We just talked about it, actually. We use this a lot in aviation in general. Compartmentalization. And what does compartmentalization mean? It means forgetting about all the stuff that's not related to the task at hand. It's really a very Zen-like thing because you're living in the moment. You're focused on what you're doing right now and not what happened on the ground or what happened, earlier in the flight that you messed up. You're focused on what is my current task. Where that can be a problem, though, is if you compartmentalize your entire life, and eventually that stuff will bubble up. So there's a balance between healthy compartmentalization, where you are using it to focus and be in the present, in the now. And then there's the unhealthy, where you're just never dealing with your problems. And I will tell a perfect example of that in my life, where I did not compartmentalize because I had been compartmentalizing so much that I wasn't dealing with stuff, and it bubbled up in the jet. And I talked about this, the T-38 thing, where I suddenly felt this, like, I don't want to go flying right now. My dogs are going to die. There's all this stuff going on. And I went flying anyway. And I just got this sense of dread, like I don't want to be here. And to your previous point that we were just talking about, the moment you stop believing you're the best pilot in the air is the moment you feel your own mortality, and the moment you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And that is a scary thing to go to, but it is very difficult to get back from. I mean, it took me, a year of working to get back from that place. And it was compartmentalization. One of the tools you work through is living in the moment, being present in the now and working on what is my next task versus what's going on extraneously. What do you guys got?
Yeah, man. I mean, compartmentalization at least in the flying business is huge. I mean, Wombat will tell you, like, you go to work, you got all kinds of personal stuff going on, and then your butt hits the seat, and it's almost like a switch goes off in your head, and you're just like, okay, now I'm starting the airplane. Okay, now I'm getting my clearance. Okay, now I'm checking everybody in. Like and that's a result of
what's next,
of a lot of training, and then but you talk about unpacking it, but in aviation, when you get back, you unpack it all in a debrief, right? So
correct.
So I mean, you could take that even to your personal life, right? So compartmentalization can help you get through some tough times, but at some point you're gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah, and
go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, one of the things, if you take an FAA check ride or a military check ride, one of the first things they tell you is don't grade yourself, and do not get hung up on what mistakes you've made, because you've got to go, I screwed that up, noted for the debrief, because it'll snowball. And I've done AIB reports, and we've gone with fatalities where, unfortunately, the bag of experience ran out because you didn't have that experience to fall back on, and we weren't compartmentalizing, and we're just like, man, that sucked. I'm going to hook this ride. Oh God! And next thing you know, it's a mishap versus we could have just debriefed this and been done with it. Sorry, Wombat. Go ahead.
No, and I agree, and I think everything you've said is 100% true, and I don't think that it is any different whether you fly airplanes or not. I think this applies to everyday life. And I see it, and I've recognized it in aviation, and now I can apply it to everything from getting up and feeling overwhelmed with what I have to do that day, or getting to work and what I have to do at work, or being, here as a husband and a father and all that. And it adds up, and it constantly adds up. And I fall back, and there's a story that I tell that is the ultimate, and it's a little bit lighthearted, but it's a true story that happened to me in T-45s, where I was in the back of a BFM for the student, and we got a ECS failure, so we lost our pressurization, but the student thought that we had a compressor stall, so he shut the motor off, which is not ideal in a single engine aircraft. And it relit because it was perfectly fine when he turned it off, so it wasn't a problem. And we knocked off the fight, and we flew back, and I could tell from the back that he was in his own head. And, this was one of those moments, and, I'd love to talk to this guy again years later, but, I told him, I go, look, let me tell you, and I use this, kind of goes to what we were talking about previously about different airframes and different services, is I go, do you want to know the difference? I came up on ICS. I go, do you want to know the difference between an Air Force pilot and a Navy pilot? And he goes, yes, sir. And I go, an Air Force pilot forgets his peanut butter and jelly sandwich for his flight, and he's so locked onto that he lands gear up. I go, a Navy pilot shuts down his only working motor, but he's expected to go back and fly a perfect landing and be on the ship the first time, period, case closed. And the kid kind of chuckled. And I go, and the last time I checked, you're not trying to get your wings of silver. So show me you can compartmentalize what you just did and get this plane back to base. And he did great. And when we land, he looked at me and he goes, I know you got to do a pink sheet, and I'll be in the ready room. And I go, there's nothing that me failing on you on this flight is going to teach you more than you already learned. And I didn't fail him. And that same thing applies. The Air Force part was obviously a joke. That same thing, though, applies where I've seen friends get themselves into that, where they can't compartmentalize. And it doesn't have to just be aviation. It can be life. It could be marriage. It could be kids. It could be your job. And we get so wrapped into this on our daily life that it's like, you have to be able to go, you know what can I control right now, in the moment, right now? If it's not on that list, I don't care about it right now. I'll get to it. I'm not forgetting it. I'm not pushing it into a box and never touching it again. But right now, in this moment, can't deal with it. Period, case closed. I have to deal with the things that are going to get me moving forward through this moment. And then I can go back and readdress.
I'm going to say, Wombat, as an LSO, like, part of your job is making sure dudes girls, whatever, were able to compartmentalize and focus, like you said, 100%. Man, right? Because the ship thing is kind of hard, but yeah. I've had them talk to me before to help me get,
angels in
the game, get back in the game, right?
It's all right, 100%. Cougar. I'll keep you right on my wing. Take you right in, buddy.
And it's different for everybody.
Yankee, so
it's different for everybody. I got in trouble as an LSO in Meridian because I had a Marine who did fantastic at the field, which is the ones we would always worry about, right? Because if they're doing really good at the field, you're like, what's going to happen when you go see the real monster out there? And his first couple passes, perfect. And then he got in his own head. And this is where it's important to see and know your friends, your coworkers, and all this, and see these tendencies in them. And I knew for this Marine, he was a Marine at heart, period, case closed. I mean, K-bar in the teeth, that was what he wanted to be. And I came up over tower frequency while he was getting gas. And I said, basically over the frequency, I was like, hey, Marine. And he's like, yes, sir. I'm like, pull your head out of your butt and fly like you know you can fly, period. Literally, the phone rings. I mean, picture initial carrier call, and your LSO says that. The phone rings, and it's the captain of the ship, and he goes, if that guy flies into the back of my ship, I'm ripping your wings off your chest. And I go, he won't. And he didn't. He flew great. Because you have to know that. And that's part of being an instructor. That's part of being an LSO. But that's in life, too, where we can't be so focused around what's going on here to not see our friends and our counterparts around us. Everybody's going through something, and you might be the one that helps somebody else compartmentalize without even realizing it, or with realizing it.
And to that point, Wombat, if it does become too much, don't do it.
Correct.
You know, there's the other part to that too, both as yourself or your friends in the squadron or whatever. If you see somebody going through something, if you are going through something, don't add to your problems by going and taking a jet airborne, that you might have just been better off saying, today's just not the day. Let me deal with whatever it is that I cannot compartmentalize. And that's what I did. When all that stuff happened with the T-38, I said, look, I'm off. Give me a week. You know, let me deal with this. And I first person I called, you and Gonky. You know, we talked about this. You know, I lived it. And dude, there is nothing worse than when your own mind turns on you, because it's your strongest weapon. It is your strongest weapon. And when it is the thing that is keeping you from doing the thing you love, you hate every minute of it. And the only thing that saves you is friends and yourself going, I'm not going to make this worse by putting myself in a dangerous situation. I'm going to raise a paw and go, uncle, let's step back and deal with it, so that I'm not overwhelming myself with stuff. Because there's a limit to how much you can compartmentalize. Once you reach that limit, now you're inside your own head.
I agree, and you can't see it anymore. And one of the things I remember telling you, because you had said, and I don't want to get too personal on this, but you had said, well, this is what I do. This is who I am. And I told you, I go, Mover, look at all the great things you've done just with this channel. Like, you are not defined by that jet. That jet does not define who you are. It might have been what got people interested initially, but it's not who the real Mover is. But when you're in that moment, and we've all been there, it manifests itself different ways. But when you're in that moment, you can't see that. It does not matter. And you couldn't see that when I said it, but eventually you did. And that's just the way it is. And that's why looking out for the people around you, whether it's family, friends, your brothers and sisters, the camaraderie, people you don't even know. I mean, there's been times where things I've said, people are like, man, that really spoke to me. And I'm like, I wasn't literally even speaking to you. You know what I mean? But I'm glad it did, because there's too much stuff going on in this world right now. And it's so easy to feel alone. It's the most bizarre time I've ever lived, where we're connected to everybody, but we're alone. It's bizarre. And we put so much pressure on ourselves for things that frankly we can't control anyway. So
yeah. Gonky, nothing. It's hard to follow Wombat, man. Once he starts saying prolific stuff, very wise stuff, but
he said we're alone, but I don't think the alien supporters would. Maybe
well, it
we're
depends
not
if they're
alone.
hostile or not. If they're hostile or not, and
be
this is on the
friendly.
same
Holy cow! Thanks,
adamantium
man.
blade. Thank you, Mover. How much time are you spending as a reserve peace officer? What are your healthy stress coping strategies? Lately it's been anywhere between 40 and 70 hours a month. This month's a light month. I think I'm right at 40 hours. But it is exactly what Wombat just said. One of the reasons I love doing it so much, and I have done as many hours as I have, is because I picked a shift with a group of guys and girls that I love. They are my brothers, sisters. Like, I know they got my back. I know that if something happens, they'll be there. I know that if something happens to me, somebody's going to come take care of Luna. Like, I know that band of brothers and sister is there for me. And when things start going sideways and I have trouble coping with something, it's the talking it out with the people that have that common interest and that common, like, they lived it too. So it's always easier to cope with stuff when you're doing this in a group than it is to do this by yourself. And that's, to me, no matter what you're doing, that's why the squadron brotherhood is such a important thing. That's why the ready room camaraderie is such an important thing, is because when you have these shared experiences and you can then connect, and not just while you're doing it, but after the fact, when you can connect and say, hey man, that was messed up, and then throw in the dark humor, throw in all the other stuff, that comes with the profession, the cop humor, the firefighter humor, the people ask about the rivalry. Well, there's one with cops and firefighters too, but guess what? We go on scene together. We're brothers again. I mean, no cop is going to let a firefighter suffer, just like no firefighter is going to let a cop suffer. It's just, we make fun of each other because that's just part of it. But at the end of the day, we have each other's backs. And, I make fun of Wizzos, and I have in the past, but I respect and
Well,
appreciate.
let's not bridge.
Listen, no, I mean, but we're all like, we do that because it's fun and it's funny. And like, you know, by the way, everybody says, where'd you get arm the seat? You're the last flare. And that's from Gonky. So he needs to take credit for that one. But
True.
My point is, we are all in this together, and if you can lean on each other, that's how you cope. I mean, that's what it boils down to. Because once you feel like you're alone on that island, which I did for a long time, you know, with
everybody
what happened
has.
last
That's
year.
the thing. That's the
worst
breaking
feeling in the world.
news. Is everybody's felt that way. Gonky, I know damn well you felt that way, even though you don't necessarily want to talk about it and you shouldn't. We've all felt that way. Anybody who hasn't felt that way is fooling themselves. That is life. That is life. And it's the fact that we live in this society where we have to hide that. And we have to hide that vulnerability. We're all so afraid. I mean, I remember you talking me off the ledge before the first book came out, where you're like, you got to put it out there. And I'm like, what if people don't like it? Well, guess what? Some people don't. A lot actually don't. But the second one's better.
Both books.
So, but
there was ledge talking on both books, sir.
But it is what it is. And you have to trust in that process. And I don't know where our society turned into this, where we all think that we have to have everything figured out. Because even the people, actually I do.
Twitter.
I blame it on social media. I truly do blame it on social media because
100%.
Because the things that you see on social media, and it's all fake. It's all
TV
BS.
too, right?
There's
Reality
few
shows.
people. Yes, there are so few people that are honest on social media that show you how it truly is. And that's why I think something like your show stands out, Mover, because you've done that. You've shown the vulnerabilities. You've shown the cockiness. You've shown all of it, right? And it's just, you've shown you. And we sit here and we look at these people on social media and it's like, well, how did he get the six pack? And like, why is he driving a Shelby? And how is he a 2-book off? Wait, no, that's just my account. I'm sorry. I got confused there. But like, you see his stuff and it's all BS, man. It's BS. Like, I posted a funny thing the other day. I took a screenshot of my phone when my alarm went off for work. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was 3:15 in the morning. I took a screenshot and I was like, never down, never out. And this was all a test, right? And people were writing me. I was getting multiple messages of like, dude, you're better than Jocko. And I'm like, no, I'm not. That's what time I have to get up to go to work. Like, that's my job. I don't have a choice because they will fire me. It's not motivational. And I told them this. I'm like, don't buy into this crap. And I'm not saying Jocko's crap. That's not what I'm saying.
I'm
saying,
Wombat's going to have the people's elbow.
But my point that I'm getting at is try to look through all that fluff. There are people on social media that have a lot of good to give. And we miss that because we're so focused on either what we think they have or what we want to have if we had their opportunities. It's like, dude, everybody has opportunities and nobody has opportunities. Just go for what you can go for and see where the chips fall. That's it.
Yeah. Well, Gonky, I think that's enough for the mental health minute. You got anything else on that one? All right. We're
Doug,
so
you got any
due to time.
questions?
Yeah, you're the mental health professional, Douglas.
Wait, are you asking me about the mental health minute, or are you asking me about comments?
Both.
Mental health minute.
I think that something that you guys touched on, maybe folks didn't realize it because it was so organic, is that can be taught and that can be trained. And if you don't know how to compartmentalize, look into getting trained and getting taught, because it can be really valuable. And then the flip side, Mover, you and I have talked about this, and you guys all mentioned the same. Don't overdo it. Resilience can be its own worst enemy. So know when to say when.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing that. We'll talk about resilience as its own episode, but thanks, Doug. That's good stuff.
I'll Google what that means.
We're going to save the Aussie Make Them Tell You No story for next week because we've gone so far over time. We've got 2 more super chats that I want to get to, and then we'll wrap this up. John says, and thank you, John. Love your content, gentlemen. I'd love to see a USMC pilot as a guest. First live episode that I've caught. Sorry for being slow. We love hearing Cap go over HD.
It's hard to get Marines to know how to work computers, though, right?
Special Edwards, who I've interviewed on this channel, and he's helped us with the Folds of Honor Fight for Honor tournament. Yeah. Well, he told me he would do it, so he's just got to get back from his vacation, and he will be on the show as well. And then Adamantium Blade Comics Collectible
man.
says, I was a deputy where I was an FTO. Thank you. For many of 15 years, I did it. Panic visited me, and it took a few months to get on top of it. No fun. It's exactly what I was just talking about. When you are your own worst enemy, and it comes down to being in the moment. Being present in the moment is the right answer for all of that. And how you get there is your coping techniques, and you have to figure out what's the root cause. What is causing you to do that? And that's something only talking to a professional, counseling. That's the only way you can get through it. It really is. And this is from Plexi. Thank you. Gonky, a side benefit of getting a DCS capable computer would be that you'd also be getting a podcast capable.
Ooh, look who's dropping the truth bombs now.
Look, I gotta take the truth bomb like a man.
We're back to dial-up. We're back on the dial-up.
It's getting better. I think he just gets animated. His mic can't keep up.
I don't think this computer can handle a three-way, so to speak.
Yeah. I know you could.
He can't handle the three-way.
Yeah.
Breaking news. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Can't wait for your kids to watch this one day.
All right. So go check out Wombat's book, Vengeance Flight, Treason Flight. Buy his books. That's the only way we can negotiate his presence on this channel is if you buy a book. So please buy a book. Subscribe to the Ready Room if you haven't already. And thank you all. If you want to buy my books, please do, but I'll probably get in trouble if you do. So,
yeah. You know what? Hey, support Mover. Buy his books.
I buy them all.
There you go, Mover. Now you're not self-promoting.
Yeah, you're not selling it. Just put the thing at the bottom again.
It doesn't matter if you put that. That was already there. Apparently, that's meaningless in today's United States Air Force. But let's end on a happy note.
Yep.
What we got? We got anything happy to say? It's 9 o'clock somewhere. It's 10 o'clock in Wombat Land. Jeez, dude.
I'm tired, man. I've been up since 3:15. I'm not kidding.
Me too. 3:20.
Well, you should. I'm already ahead of you then. See.
Here's the happy note, dude. I hit 400,000 subscribers this weekend. I want to thank all of you that have been a part of this channel, whether you joined recently or you joined 5 years ago when I started this journey because Gonky told me to. Gonky, thank you for talking me into doing this. It's been a hell of a ride. We've had ups, we've had downs, but I wouldn't trade any of the experiences for anything. I am honored that many people want to hear what we have to say, and I hope that we can continue helping people because, even though some people say it's shameless self-promotion, I do believe that a lot of good has been done, and I'm hopeful that we can continue to do a lot of good with Make Them Tell You No, with charity support, with just sharing stories and having a good time.
Yep, 100%.
Awesome. Wombat,
Congrats
thank you for joining us tonight, dude.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Wombat.
It's fun. I think I'll be down to 4 followers after this.
Hey, we'll have to go into a skiff and you'll have to tell me all about it. The flying saucer thing.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.